A Court of Fairies and Fiction. Akafath Girls Podcast. Hosts Mel and Liv. Episode 14. The Fox, the Fawn, and the Fiend.
Hello.
Hello.
Hello. We're back again.
Yay. This is attempt number 2 today, isn't it?
Attempt number 2 today. We got nothing to actually put on the podcast earlier. We were just talking about coffee and fat squirrels.
And Charlie, the fat
squirrel. I can't find the fucking picture. I'm so mad. I'm gonna have to have my mom take a picture if she sees it again.
Or if you're over there on Thanksgiving, you need to take a picture.
This thing was on top of their trash barrel or their recycle bin. I swear to God, like it looked like a frisbee. It was huge.
So we know Charlie's like sitting pretty for the winter already. Like,
yeah.
I'm good.
Charlie, the half a tail squirrel, the mega obese half a tail squirrel that can't even walk on a fence.
I literally, I'm obsessed with him. I need Charlie in my life. Charlie.
I need to find a picture of this thing. I have to tell my mom to take a picture of this thing. Because Charlie has been around for years. Same neighborhood for years. He's like, the pickings are good with this trash.
I was gonna say, I feel like he would be an easy target for predators, but it sounds like Charlie. He can't even live in well.
We don't even know where he goes. His tree hole is probably all the way at the bottom. He can't climb for shit.
Charlie must be super smart if he's evading all of the predators coming after him.
He just moves so slow that they don't track him. Literally. He's just like a turtle. Fucking Charlie.
Hey, Charlie. Sorry, guys. Okay. We're good.
We're good.
Okay.
Anyway, I think I told you earlier, but not when we were filming. I was editing episode 13, and I had posted episode 12 today, and it's definitely in episode 13 because at first I was like, I don't know which one. No, it's 13. So okay. It's loading to be published next Sunday, and I listened through it, obviously, and I made notes. A lot of notes.
I love it.
So you made a comment on the episode about when she, was it this episode? I think it was this episode when she when Moore went into the spring court and grabbed Feyre.
Yeah.
And you said well, everyone knows that she's part of his court or whatever, right?
Yeah.
But did they? Because they'd all been living in Valaris and nobody knew about Valaris.
But okay, you bring up a good point. Here's my thing though. Is Moore was very, what was that, not she was famous from that previous war, right? Because the mortal queens knew her.
That's the confusing part. They just thought they all lived in the Court of Nightmares.
Yeah. It's really, but I'm telling you, your thing about, I don't know. You had me shook with your comment about Valahand, but you might have.
I keep thinking of that too.
Yeah. But you're right. Maybe the Spring Court doesn't know about Moore. Did Tamlin know her at the High Lords meeting?
It didn't mention that he was really shocked by anyone, but technically, Rhys could have wiped them out of Tamlin's mind.
He could have.
It's weird because there's no mention. Tamlin never even mentions Cass and Az, like how we were saying when like he supposedly got his family killed. Like, where were Cassian and Azriel?
And you want to know what? You actually bring up a really good point with that. Tamlin never says their names.
Never brings up anybody that Rhys is close to. It's weird.
It's super weird. So, like, what if Rhys, are you thinking that, like, Rhys, like, wiped Tamlin's minds about Cass and Az?
Maybe when he was with the Amarantha thing, because remember, he had to hold everyone's minds to not tell Amarantha who they were, what their names were. The people that did know.
I swear to you, the biggest mistake, in my opinion, that SJM did was not giving Tamlin's POV.
I know.
Even just Under the Mountain, like, we didn't need it, like, anymore, like, even just Under the Mountain. And we will never know that.
I mean, I hope we will at some point.
I pray to God that we're gonna, like, in my mind, I know we talked about doing like a headcanon episode, like, I pray that we'll like go back and like when we get Tamlin's book, if we ever get it, we'll get Under the Mountain truths, but I don't think we will.
Like his childhood trauma and like about his family and what happened with the sister, hopefully in Hofast, but I'm not gonna hold my breath.
I know. Oh, that hurts when you say that you're not gonna hold your breath. I mean, that hurts me a little bit.
I know, it hurts. Well, because I was fighting with someone today about Tamlin, and I'm like, all of this shit is like assumption because we never get his POV.
Never. No. And it's like so weird to me that we never get his POV because like he was such a big part of the story.
I know. It's ridiculous. Like, he was the first main character.
He was the first main character, and like he's still he even though people hate him, had so much to do with the story. Even as the enemy, he had such influence in it. He brought back Rhys in ACOWAR.
When people talk about ACOWAR and how like he just keeps getting worse, I'm like, how the actual fuck can you read ACOWAR and say that he's the bad guy? How?
That's what shocks me.
What brain cell is jostling around in there that missed the mark?
Do you know what's so funny is that
he saved 5 people single-handedly in this one fucking book.
I know. Not only that, but I know I don't understand people. And then like came with the plans at the High Lords meet. And do you know what's funny? Is that podcast Whimsy Gossip? You know them, right? They put something on their Instagram the other day, and it was like audio of the High Lords meeting, and I re-listened to it again. And I sat there and I was like, I listened to this conversation. This is like the 10th time I've read this and heard it. And I go, do you know, I still cannot find a single thing wrong with anything that Tamlin said. And in fact, the way he's like, how am I supposed to know, Rhys, that you didn't have Ianthe's mind in hand when she went and did that? Like, I was like,
oh, he's such a dick. Like, what?
I was like, Tamlin, it's so logical, everything he says. I was like, there's nothing wrong with what he says.
Everything.
And then Feyre makes no sense. She's like, do you hear yourself? You're insane. And I'm like, he's the most logical person here.
Okay, miss, I blocked out genocide. What the fuck?
I blocked it.
You're one talk. I blocked it out. A headache was forming on my temples.
I love
Go get some of Az's headache medicine and shut the fuck up and sit the fuck down. You little 19-year-old fucking teeny bopper.
I mean, like, it's
we're gonna lose listeners for this. I don't care.
You know what? Cut it. Just cut the scene.
I'm just not. Hey, you know that we don't like Feyre by now, so
cut the scene because people are gonna fucking riot when they hear that. Take it out. Take it out.
Hey, at least we have our groupies, so it's fine.
I mean, it's just like, I don't know, like we've said, we love the series,
but for
obviously.
real, For
But
real.
like,
What
Tamlin
makes
was-
anybody read ACOWAR and be like, Phazand are the heroes? What? What the fuck did they actually do for this war?
I know.
I genuinely want an answer. Because what did they actually do? Okay, they hosted a meeting not even in their own court.
That's
So
true.
Decent hosted the meeting.
Decent hosted, and then they ended up starting like multiple
They
fights.
started
at
the
said
fucking
meeting.
riots.
I know they did.
Bear almost killed Baron. Az almost killed Eris. Nesta was sniping at Baron again, and Eris, and
Tamlin.
Tamlin.
Yeah.
Nuon wouldn't even look at them.
I know.
It was like,
It was honestly such a hot mess.
it was literally the most non-political political meeting.
I know. So stupid. I like, in a way, I kind of want to see. I wish it was an animated version, because I would pay such money just to see Feyre like jump and attack Baron when she's like, "We're not supposed to be fighting, guys. It's gonna be a civil meeting."
Have you
And, like,
ever
Feyre's
seen
rabid.
that reel from shit, what's the show? I can't think of the name. That British show with fuck, I'm totally blanking. But anyway, there's a reel going around from this show, and the British guy is like, no fighting, no fighting, no fighting.
Yeah. It's Peaky Blinders.
They're all just right. And everyone's like, this is Rhys before the High Lords meeting. And then he starts it. Because
No
then the guy like takes the
fighting.
first punch.
It was so good.
Fighting.
Yeah. It's Peaky Blinders, right? With Cillian Murphy.
Yes,
Yeah.
thank you.
Peaky
Yes.
Blinders.
Yes.
Yeah.
I couldn't think of the name. Oh shit. Yeah. That's
It's-
Rhys. He's such a
it's-
fucking hypocrite.
It's the whole inner circle. They're all hypocrites. Like even like, and you know, I've got a soft spot for Azriel. Even Az is like, don't, you know, like a rabid animal. Like, don't talk about my High Lady that way.
Like, she doesn't want you, bro. I'm sorry. Like,
Az,
even if you killed Eris, she wouldn't want you.
I know, he's just
Poor
like, it just
baby.
breaks my heart. And he's like so beautiful and like the best of them. And
You know what kind of bothered me though?
hmm,
Is that Moore made a point to sit next to him.
did she really? I forgot about that.
Yeah, she sits right next to him at the High Lords meeting until he attacks Eris, and then Feyre's like, "Come, Azriel, come sit next to me."
Like a dog. I remember that. I was like,
Mm.
I like was kind of grossed out when I read that.
It was
I don't know
grossed out.
why.
It was so
I was kind of like,
gross.
it's a little
Come,
demeaning
Azriel. Like
to
he's,
Azriel.
yeah. I did find it shocking though that the narrative is like Azriel, like he'll go against orders. He doesn't care. He won't listen to Rhys. And Rhys is like, Azriel, Azriel, Azriel. And he's like, I don't fucking care. I'm gonna kill this motherfucker. And then Feyre's just like, come, Azriel. And he's like, okay.
Yeah. I love Az.
But
Oh
also,
my
I
gosh.
kind of feel like that stems from him, like, having a better mom than a better dad. Like, I feel like that's, like, little Az. Like, if his mom tells him to do something, he's gonna do it.
Yes. Yes.
If
He
his
does
dad's
have- he
yelling
does
at him,
have-
he's just gonna, like, curl in on himself and keep going.
He has a sweet spot for the Archeron sisters, like that's for sure. He's very
Oh, yeah.
soft for all three of them, like very much so.
It's so cute.
I have to say, like, we all know that casting is my man, obviously, but like Az is like quickly like climbing ranks. Cause like I read back and I'm like, oh, he's really like insightful and like very like conscientious of other people's.
Lucian's my number 1, Az is my number 2, and Tamlin and Eris tie for number 3.
Yeah, that's like a solid. It's
Balthazar
so hard.
is
I don't
number
have-
4. Had to say it.
I'm surprised by Balthazar. We don't know much about him, and he like
I love
saved
him.
Nesta.
I love
You-
him. He helped her
Why?
carry Emery to the
He
cave.
did.
And
He
then he's
did.
like, I'll take first watch.
I'm
My baby. And then, like, when Nesta's like, an Illyrian male more interested in politics than killing, I'm like, that's so hot. And then when he was walking away, she's like, his wispy dark hair blowing in the breeze. I was like, yes, Balthazar. Yes, my 4th man. 5th man.
I love that. I mean, he was a great character. I just was like, I never thought of it.
Loved him. I was so mad that he only lasted like 3 pages.
I know. Well, I know we're gonna see a lot more of him. I need more. Like, if I had to rank the guys right now, I would probably say my number one would be Lucien. So it would probably be like Lucien, Cassian, Azriel, Tamlin. Yeah.
Eris
is on there. Rhys would probably be at the bottom.
Yeah.
I think.
Mm-hmm.
I'm trying to think, what other men are there? Is that everyone?
What other men are there? I don't know. Bronn and Hart.
Bronn and Hart are super low.
Papa Archeron.
Papa Archeron sucks. Arguably one of the worst characters in the entire series. Like, literally.
Okay, unpopular opinion. I thought it was cute when he rolled up with the ships, but I'm a softie like that. I thought it was adorable.
Why? He's such a chump. He
okay. So
he failed.
I know.
Miserably.
Okay, but devil's advocate. He was very crippled. Granted, he could walk a little bit because I think, was it Nesta or Elain? One of them says that he would make a trip to the market like every couple of whatever months or whatever with his wood carvings.
Yeah.
So he was pretty crippled. The thing with the boats is that when Lucien went to get him, didn't Lucien go to get him first and then they went to find Vasa? I think
that's exactly what happens.
So
yeah.
Lucien healed his leg.
No, Lucien didn't heal his leg.
Tamlin
healed.
Okay, Tamlin healed his. Wait,
in book 1. Tamlin healed Papa Archeron's leg in book 1. Yeah, he doesn't get credit for it. It was Tamlin.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
I thought he still had the cane in book 1 though. No? Okay. Never mind. So anyways, his leg is healed by now. And they were doing good after Tamlin gave them riches. So he was back on his shit. He was back on his merchant shit.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
So he was healed after, and he was working for them. He did go overseas again. That's where Lucien found him, over on the continent. Again, over on the continent. What the fuck are you doing on the continent, Papa?
There's a lot of secrets over there. Lots of secrets.
When they're turned fae and they're living at the townhouse, I think it is. And there's this scene where Nesta's like, or Elain is like, and when was it Elain? I'm trying to think. No, it was definitely Nesta. And Nesta's like, well, when Father gets back or whatever, and Fair is like, Father hasn't been back for months. We'll deal with him as we go.
I did like how
I don't think that's a problem. He won't know you're missing.
No. I do like how how
he was healed at that point.
Yeah.
And that's why he tried to make it up to them, because he could actually like walk and do shit again.
It was interesting to me that he was riding on the Nesta and not the Elain or the Feyre. Tell me what your thoughts on that are.
Well, again, because he knew that she was the most put out by his neglect. Because I saw that as a nod not only to when they were poor, because she was pissed at him and like hated him or whatever, but I kind of saw that as a nod to like her abuse as a kid.
Yeah.
But he didn't stop.
Yeah.
Because he's like, I failed you, and like that whole big speech, and I was like, that's more than the poverty thing. Granted, it was Mama Archeron's mother, but we know that Mama Archeron wasn't that much better.
Yeah.
So, and I think he was probably like, I was like gone most of the time, and this happened to her, and I couldn't stop it. So that's what I kind of took from that. And yeah, that was actually a really sad scene. I'm total devil's advocate because I know people are like, he doesn't deserve credit for shit. But I thought that was cute because they had like their whole little monologue thing before Highburn showed up.
Yeah.
It was sad.
It was sad. And you know what? It's so funny because I know that Silver Flames lately, a lot of people have been like ragging on it and stuff.
And you know what?
What?
Just as a little aside, Papa Archeron actually said he loved her. So
Yeah.
her mate did not.
You know what? I'm so sad to hear this, but you've like wiggled your way into my brain. And, like I've been thinking a lot about your Cassian comments and they disturb me a little bit. Like, for sure. But I will say, after I finished Silver Flames and I read that Cassian never said I love you to Nesta, I was like, ooh. Ooh.
I actually saw a Facebook post the other day, and I was pleasantly surprised that people had a lot of the same opinions as me on Cassian. I was shocked. And someone pointed out, they were like, they said, they didn't really say like, I don't think they're mates, but they said, I think Nesta and Cassian settled for each other because they think there's a mate bond, because of how cherished mate bonds are, because of the tension that they had. And I was like, I absolutely see that. Because even in that last scene when he's literally chasing her down the street, she's pissed at him again. She's like, don't come after me. He ignores her. They have their whole thing. And then she's like, I love you. And he like fucking kisses her and doesn't say it back.
No, I was a little put like that was my big takeaway from it. I was like, ew, like even in the end when they accepted the mate bond and like she offers the biscuit and then she's like, I love you, and he just like kisses her.
That's what I wanted to bring up. He never eats the biscuit. He never eats it. He never bites it. He doesn't accept it.
So do you have to eat the food to accept the bonds, though?
Yes, that's why Feyre put the bowl in front of Rhys and said, eat. And he ate it. He didn't eat the biscuit.
I'm going to tell you something. If it truly comes down to that, like SJM being like that, like splitting hairs, like yeah, like he didn't eat the biscuit. You guys.
He didn't eat the biscuit. Because someone goes, I don't think he even bit the biscuit or whatever, and I go, no fucking way. And I went right to my Kindle and I go, I was so excited by that revelation.
I'm like,
yeah, he didn't. He was like a stale biscuit or an elaborate mating ceremony.
Stop it right now.
And she's like, yeah. And he's like, well, let's make a ceremony of it then, like, because he doesn't eat the biscuit. And she's like, well, I already have a crown.
Yeah.
So I also just want to remind you, based off of this, that they have not had their mating ceremony yet.
So my hope is that she's going to write the mating ceremony in Flame and Shadow.
She's not. She said she'll never write one.
She said that for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Why? Because they're corny? Is that what she was like saying?
They're like too, I don't know, complex, religious, whatever. But she didn't even allude to the fact that it happened yet in Akasiv. It didn't happen yet. They only said that, like, oh, once the consummation is blah, blah, blah. Not that they hadn't been doing that for weeks.
Well, I want to actually talk about Nesta and Cassian's relationship more because I thought of a couple of things I want to bring up to you. So here's my thing, and maybe you can answer this for me, but I think everyone has such a different opinion as a writer. So I know that you were talking about you don't like Cassian and Nesta because you don't think they're mates. Because
I don't mind them. I don't mind them.
Yeah.
I just don't think they're very compatible.
Well, yeah. Or which I could actually see where you're coming from. Like I can legitimately see that. My thing is this is with like it's interesting how she writes her couples. And so I'm trying to like figure out because the fandom, like obviously it's very triggering to a lot of people how some of the couples are written.
Mhm.
And to me, I loved Cassian because he pursued Nesta, like no matter what, which was like to me was like a sign of love and like, you know, they truly are mates and stuff like that.
How are
But
you a
that's your
Taurus? I would be get the fuck away from me. Like if I said no once, get away from me. I'm not warning you again before I punch you in the fucking face. Like
so that's what I find so interesting. I'm like, so you have to explain this to me because to me, I'm like Cassian was like very romantic, like he took her, you know what I mean? Like they were very like
I don't know
physical
what
with
you
each
mean.
other. And
Very persistent and very aggressive.
I think he was
There
persistent
were
and aggressive, but
some things that he said that were kind of sweet, I guess.
that were very sweet. And
Akawar though,
he
not Akasif.
okay. But then in Silver Flames, he did do a lot of like really sweet stuff, in my opinion. Like especially in the gift, like going and getting the orchestra to play and stuff like that. Like
Okay,
to me,
yeah,
that was
that
very
was
sweet.
cute. I still think there's a hidden meaning behind that, but okay, go ahead.
You have to tell me the hidden meaning because I actually don't know what the hidden meaning behind that one is. But hold on. So my thing is that to me, Cassian was like very much a gentleman, like what a man should do, right? It's like pursue the woman he loves despite her being in like a bad spot, right? So tell me how you think a male, like who in the series do you feel like just hits the mark every time as
Lucien.
terms Lucien? Tell me why. Because he's messed up.
Elain didn't want to talk to him. He left the room. He gives her space because she wants space, but he still comes periodically to check up on her, to see how she's doing, to tell Nesta and Feyre, get her out of the house. She needs sunshine.
So
He will
let me
sit
ask
and
you.
talk to her and have tea with her, and then when she's done, obviously Nesta included herself and was like, get the fuck out. You know, whatever.
Yeah.
But like, I don't get the argument where everyone's just like, Elain doesn't like him and she gives him the cold shoulder and they never speak. And I'm like, they have spoken multiple times.
See, I feel like she
On
gives him
and
the cold
off
shoulder.
page. There's, again, there's another 2 scenes where Feyre leaves them alone. We have no idea what they talked about.
What 2 scenes does Feyre leave them alone in?
The scene after the Highburn War when she goes and blows Rhys off in the tent. To put it lightly.
Wait, what did it
She
say?
leaves them to talk. She said, "Oh, I left them to talk while I went to find my mate."
I totally forgot about that. Holy shit.
Mm-hmm. And
It's
yeah,
so
that was
hard for
after
me.
Elain asked him to stay in Valaris, which I make note that Elain is the one that asked him. Everyone's like, "Well, she was nudged by Feyre." Like a physical nudge.
She
Feyre
was.
did not tell her what to say or what to ask. Elain did that on her own. Feyre was just like, talk to him. Or, you know? And she was like, are you okay? And he was like, yeah, but I never want to fight in another war for the rest of my life. Because he was all bloody. And then I don't know what else they said. And then she was like, are you going to come to the townhouse? Gonna stay?
This is in Akawar, right?
Yeah. It was adorable. I love that scene.
It's towards the end of the book.
She's so very, like, not subtle. What's another word for it? She's very, like, she wants him to, but she's scared. Apprehensive. She's very apprehensive about it, but she is the one that asks him. Nobody tells her what to ask him.
I want to find that
Lucien
scene.
is top tier. He gives her space, but he still checks up on her. He, by the request of Maja, tugged on the bond to see if she was sick, if there was anything wrong. The way that he blushed when he got to her end of the bond always makes me happy, even though I'm like, what the fuck did he blush about?
But like, what does that mean? Like, what does it mean?
He was smart.
Why?
He was happy. So
No, he was not happy. He just blushed. It didn't say he was happy. It was just like he was like,
well, he
like,
was fine until Azriel took her out to the garden, and then Rhys was like, Azriel isn't the ravishing type. Oh, really?
but he definitely,
really,
yeah.
And that's when he was like pretty on guard. But
hold on. Where is it? I just want to read this scene. I
she is very apprehensive, but I like that scene because she actually like seems concerned. And it's right after her father dies. So then, that's what it was. He was like, I'm sorry about like your father, like whatever he says about that. And then she's like, are you okay? After he's like, are you okay? And I was like, ah. But like he talks to her there, or she talks to him there. She talks to him in the library. She talks to him during the scene with the tea cart, with the bond. That's like 3 separate scenes that they talk. And then she takes half a step towards him when he's leaving to find Papa Archeron and Vasa, which I'm like, what was she gonna say? God damn it. What was she gonna say? It bothers me. And I know we're gonna probably get it in their book, like flashbacks or something. Like, I need flashbacks. That is one thing that SJM doesn't do that I hate her for not doing.
Yeah, is the flashbacks. Oh my gosh, it's so true. I found the scene. I want to read it too.
Fucking love flashbacks. I put so many flashbacks in my fic.
I love it. So I found the scene because I do not remember Lucien and Elain talking so much. And it's okay. So it's
my relationship or heart.
What?
It was like the first scene that they talked after the cauldron, and I was obsessed with it.
I still think she's so shitty to him, but let's see. Again, maybe I'm like not remembering it appropriately. So it's in Akawar, guys, page 675, right? So steps crunched on the grass behind us, Nesta whirled, but it was Lucien, haggard and bloody, panting for breath.
Oh my God, so hot. Next.
I'm so sorry. As if he'd
panting and bloodied.
So he's panting and bloodied, and he like literally ran from the ocean to get to Elain. Is that what it was?
Felt her anguish.
His gaze settled on Elain, and he sagged a little, but Elain only wrapped her arms around herself and remained at my side. See, that's so stupid. You're wrapping your arms around yourself, like,
her dad just died. Give her a break.
You give Elain and Nesta a lot of breaks. They do a lot of not good things.
Their father's neck was just snapped in front of them, and you're like, get over it.
She's always like this. Elaine's always like,
He's like the gentle
turning in on myself. Like, I'm such a Nesta. I like cannot stand her. But Elain, are you hurt? He asked, coming towards us, spine the blood speckling Elaine's hands. He halted short as he noticed the King of Highburn's decapitated head on the other side of the clearing. Nesta was still showered with his blood. I'm fine.
Like, fuck.
I'm fine, Elain said quietly, and then asked, noticing the gore on him, the torn clothes and still bloody weapons, are you? Well, I never want to fight in another battle as long as I live, but yes, I'm in one piece. A faint smile bloomed on Elaine's lips.
And people say they never talked. I hate those people.
But Lucien noticed the scorched patch of grass behind us and said, I heard what happened. I'm sorry for your loss, all of you. I just strode to him and threw my arms around his neck, even if it wasn't the embrace he was hoping
I
for.
know. Well, maybe if you gave her a fucking second, Feyre.
Well, come on,
it's all
Elain.
about Feyre.
How long does it take? Like, really? Thank you for
about
coming
Feyre.
with the battle, I mean. And then he says, I've got one hell of a story to tell you, he said, squeezing me tightly, and don't be surprised if Vasa corners you as soon as the ships are sorted and the sun sets.
Keep going. Yeah, because it's the fucking Feyre show. I don't care about Feyre. Next.
You want me to keep reading it?
Mm-hmm.
Yes, but your father, ever the negotiator, a sad small smile toward that burnt grass. He managed to cut a deal with Vass's keeper to come here. Temporarily, but better than nothing. But
what
yes, Queen...
the fuck deal did he make?
I know. But yes, Queen by night, Firebird by day. He blew out a breath, a nasty curse. The human queens are still out there, I said. Maybe I'd hunt them down. Not for long, not if Vassa has anything to do with it.
Well, yeah, because they fucked her over. They sold her to Koshi. She's like, fuck you. They made me a Firebird. I'm going to burn your asses to the ground.
But he sounds like very invested
Friendly?
in Vassa. Not if Vassa has anything to do with
he's
it.
treating Vassa the way he treated Feyre.
You sound like an acolyte. Lucien blushed, glancing at Elain.
See?
She's got...
Him and Elain are going to be the acolytes. Az and Gwen are going to be the spies.
No way. Lucien blushed, glancing at Elain. She's got a foul temper and a fouler mouth. He cut me a wry look. You'll get along just fine.
See? She's literally like his human Feyre.
Yeah.
Because Feyre's a dick now. He's like, I'm replacing you, bestie.
Yeah.
Get to the part where
nudged
Elain
him.
asks him to stay.
I'm trying to get... I nudged him in the ribs, but Lucien again looked at the singed grass. He was a good man. He loved you all very much. Okay. Elain just wrapped her arms tighter around herself, a few more tears streaking free. I spared Lucien the torment of debating whether to touch her. I love Feyre, always
again.
I know.
I'm sparing him from this. I'm sparing him from that. Shut the fuck up and go away.
Yeah. I spared Lucien the torment of debating whether to touch her and linked my arm through his as I began to walk away, letting my sisters decide to follow or remain if they wanted a moment alone with the burnt grass. Elain came, but Nesta stayed. Elain fell into step beside me, peering at Lucien. He noticed it.
Of course he did.
I heard you made the killing blow. He said, he's so great. He's like always like hyping her up. Like
her.
He's like so
you're not, I feel like that was like, you're not as, fragile as they make you.
Well, but also, if you notice, he's the only one that acknowledges it was Elain that stabbed the King Hybrid. It was not
he's
Nesta.
like, my mate did that.
Yeah, I heard you made the killing blow. He's so sweet.
And then she's like, Nesta really
Nesta
did it.
I just stabbed him.
Lucien
seemed to fumble for a response, but I said to him, so where now? Off with Vassa. I wondered if he'd heard of Tamlin's role, the help he'd given us. A look at my friend showed me he had. Someone, perhaps my mate, had informed him. Lucien shrugged. First here to help, and then another glance at Elain. Who knows? I nudged Elain, who blinked at me and then blurted, you could come to Valaris. No, she needed help there. Lucien shrugged. First here to help, and then another glance at Elain. Who knows? I nudged Elain.
Yeah, but she did, Elain didn't have to say, oh, come to Valaris. She could have been like, are you going to visit? She literally could have said anything else.
I nudged Elain, who blinked at me and then blurted, you could come to Valaris. I don't know. I'm not convinced. And then she made a point to say he saw all of it, but nodded graciously. It would be my pleasure.
She did ask if he was okay, too. And the way that she smiled at him for the first time.
A little faint smile bloomed down her lips.
I love that. I love that so much. Yeah, they have that scene. They have the scene in the library when Feyre's in his mind, and they have the scene when he's checking the bond. That's 3 big scenes that they are actively speaking. And if you continue that scene, she leaves her with Lucien to talk.
Does she really?
Yeah.
I never want to fight.
Keep going. I'll let you find it.
I'm looking.
I'm like 99.999% sure it's that scene, right?
No, you are right. I was still mulling over all he said when I slipped into my tent to finally change out my leathers, leaving him and Elain to go find a place to wash up and talk. Perhaps it doesn't say they actually talked.
You don't think Elain is washing the blood off of him? Come on.
No, she's not.
They went to a fucking stream to talk, and she was just like,
She was not washing it off of him. There's no way. Look at she can't even give him a hug.
Then why is he blushing? Why is he blushing so much with her?
No, he's
not. And then when
blushing.
he got to the end of the bond, what he saw, it wasn't what we were looking for. What the fuck was he blushing at? He could have been seeing the memory of that day. Whatever happened when Feyre left. There could have been a cute moment that we're not going to know about till their book. Just admit
I'm just
that.
I'm just trying what could possibly be blushing about? So
I'm going to do a fanfic plug really quick because actually there is a fanfic writer who updated their fic yesterday. It's an Lucien fic.
Oh.
And
I feel like there's not many of those.
And so actually this scene, they wrote this scene and it is Elain and Lucien at a stream. So her fic is actually kind of depressing because Lucien is like losing all his memories. Like he asked Rhys to like take all his memories of her away because she wasn't
Elain,
because she wasn't accepting him, and then he's like realizing that like at the last minute it was like a miscommunication, but there's no going back. It's very sad. But
oh my god,
I know. Let me pull it up real quick. It's gonna be in my history.
Honestly, I do kind of hope Elain gets like put in her place a little bit because she's kind of just a little brat.
The little brat.
I think she is. Like she just.
It's called A Court of Eternal Sunshine by Mogitz. Mogitz.
Let me write it down.
The summary is Lucien is tormented by an unreciprocated bond with Elain. After witnessing a heartbreaking encounter between her and Azriel, Lucien begs Rhys to erase his memories of their connection. Transformed, he returns lighthearted and unburdened, bewildering the inner circle, especially Elain. So, very sad fic. But the chapter that was last night, there's a scene that goes back to this. And there's a few of them. Here it is. I'm going to read this. And I hope they see this or I'll tell them about it. But it says, when the world around him finally stilled, Elain and Lucien stood together in a secluded area near a small stream. Elain crouched down, watching as the water around her bloodied hands turned pink before swirling clear again. Lucien silently removed his armor, his movement slow and heavy with exhaustion. As he lifted his arm, he winced with a slight grunt, and it was Elain who noticed the deep, angry slash along his side. It was partially concealed by his bloodied white undershirt, but not enough to escape her observant eyes. Her eyebrows knitted together in concern. "You're hurt." Lucien glanced down at his blood-soaked side and shrugged. He brushed it off with a lazy half-smile despite the pain searing through his ribs. "I've had worse, believe me." Elain pursed her lips and shook her head like a displeased school teacher. Without a word, she gently guided him to sit on the nearby rock. "I'm fine," Lucien insisted, but Elain only shushed him as she soaked a cloth in the cool, clear water of the stream. He was so enraptured in the memory that he almost forgot that it was only a matter of moments before this too slipped away. It was a moment Lucien wanted to hold on to forever. Please, he whispered to himself. Not this one. Let me keep just this one. Lucien hissed through his teeth as she dabbed at the wound carefully. Her touch was tender, and her closeness to him made his heart race. He took in everything while he still had the chance. The way her hair fell over her shoulders, her tattered dress. He watched the focused frown on her lips, the way her eyebrows pulled together in concentration, noticed the lone freckle under her left eye, and the graceful curve of her nose. He couldn't help but smile when her eyes flashed to his, then shyly backed down at her task. I didn't know if I'd ever see you again, Elain admitted, her eyes fixated back on the wound she was tending. Lucien's gaze softened. Neither did I, he confessed. While you were out there searching for Vasa, she paused for a moment, as though she were weighing her words carefully. I thought of you more than I expected to. I thought of you every single day, he replied immediately. Her gaze returned to his then, finding a depth of emotion there that mirrored her own. He didn't expect her to respond to such a declaration, so after a moment he asked, So how does it feel? How does what feel? To know you're not crazy, that your visions are real. A small relieved smile played on her lips. It feels like I can finally breathe, like I'm not drowning in my own mind anymore. Lucien reached out, his fingers brushing against hers. You know I'm here for you, right? Elain said nothing, her mouth falling open but no words coming out. No matter when or for whatever reason, I'm here, he said. Elain nodded softly. I know. They stared at one another, the longing in Lucien's chest growing almost unbearable. She went to turn away, but Lucien was no longer tethered to the confines of the memory, so he took her hand in his. What changed, he breathed. A spark of recognition broke through her haze. She blinked, looking around as though she were taking in where they were and recognizing it as a memory they had shared. After this, it was never the same again. What did I do? You didn't do anything. She took a deep breath, her gaze drifting away momentarily, the memory around them still vivid yet fragile. It was me. I got scared. Being with you, even for a moment, felt like a lifetime of emotions. When you had touched me, I saw visions of a future, our future, and it was overwhelming. It was beautiful, but it scared me. But you asked me to come to Valaris. I know, she blurted, her arms dropping helplessly to her sides, and I wanted you to. Lucien sighed. What did it matter anymore anyways? All this did was drive the pain deeper. And then he's just mumbling like, this is the last memory. It'll all be gone after this. Everything's about to change, isn't it? She whispered. A mixture of realization and regret. He only nodded. I'm so sorry, Elain said, choking down a sob. He glanced down at her, and instead of shying away, she leaned into him. Lucien was shocked as he felt her hand slink around his waist and hold on to him. He hesitantly did the same, draping his arm over her shoulders and pulling her in closer. He then leaned down, resting his chin on the top of her head and taking in her scent. His eyes fluttered shut as he instinctively pressed a kiss into her hair. I'm sorry, too. I'm sorry I wasn't stronger. I wish we had more time. Elain paused, her gaze locked with his. We're here now in this moment. We can make it whatever we want. And she was right. They could make it different. And then she's like, Lucien, and he says, and then they kiss, obviously, and he says he wished it were real.
Oh, God, you're killing me.
Lucien sunk
So
further into the
sad.
kiss, gripping her close. And then it says, he pulled back, their lips separating, but still searching for one another. His hand slunk up the length of her back, and he wanted to tell her how badly he had wanted this, but he wanted more. No, needed it. He leaned back in again, this time softly and more lovingly, agonizingly slow, feeling every sensation he could. He never wanted the moment to end. As the world around them began to fade, slipping into the inevitable darkness, Lucien whispered against her lips, a promise born from the depths of his soul. I will find you, Elain. In every life, in every world, I will find you. With that vow, the memory dissolved into nothingness, leaving behind a lingering sense of hope that their souls would find one another time and time again. And then there was only blackness. And in the final moment shared between their two hearts, it was gone from Lucien's mind forever. Kind of long, but that's now that's all I can fucking see. When I read that, when she's like, I left them to talk. And I was like, talk.
Well, that was heartbreaking and unexpected for my night. Fuck.
What the fuck? I don't even know what she's going to do for chapter 6. Jesus Christ. He's gonna come back with no memory of her, and she's gonna be so upset, more pining. I love it.
She deserves it. I'm sorry, but like I am the biggest Elain
to lose
hater.
his memory. No,
She
obviously it's
sucks.
gonna be like he lost all his memories, and then they forged an actual connection. It's probably gonna be like that. But
I kind of hope it is, but or I don't know, but for Lucien.
But to long form answer your original question, Lucien. Sorry.
You know what? I think that you're right. I think that Lucien, like
He's
Lucien,
respectful.
yeah,
He's sweet. He's fucking funny.
yeah,
He
he
just
is
knows.
funny.
He just knows. That's what you want. You want a man that just knows what you need without you having to say it.
It's so ironic that like Lucien he truly is like the best guy in the series, but like he's the only one that has a mate that wants nothing to do with him. That fucking sucks. Like he's the most respectful and she still doesn't want him.
Yet. She's traumatized.
I don't know.
She only gave, but the fact that she only gave Nesta a year, and I'm like, bitch, you still traumatized. What the fuck are you talking about?
Yeah. And it's funny, she's still traumatized, but when Azriel's around, suddenly she's not.
So I told you, I think that's Koshi.
I don't know, man. I think you're not giving Elain enough credit here. Like, she's like, oh.
Do I think that she would have slept with him? Honestly, I don't think she would have. I do think it would have gone a little too far, but I don't think she would have gone all the way. I think she would have felt guilty.
Really?
She's the fucking sensitive one. Absolutely.
She's the one
as pissed as she was with Azriel for saying it was a mistake. I think she knows that was right.
So why do you think that she knows that's right? She's the one that asked him to put the necklace on her and then was like, kiss me, make out with me. Like, so
say that.
She was a little hussy.
No. Azriel picked up on her cues. And then he was like waiting for her permission, and she just said yes to a kiss.
She basically asked him to do it.
To a kiss.
A kiss is still a kiss. That's way too much. She has Lucien fucking Van Sarah on the line, and she's like passing him up for ass.
To be fair, Feyre had it drilled into their heads that Lucien worked with Tamlin to get them thrown in the cauldron.
That's true.
Because she even said, like, you betrayed us. And he couldn't tell her at the time that he didn't because they were still spying.
Yeah.
The Sly Fox. So he had to choose between, if I tell her and she tells the Night Court and we lose this foothold in Highburn, that could mean the death for everybody. Or I can just suck it up and take it. And he sucked it up and took it.
Here's my thing, though, too, is that I'm concerned that they're not going to end up together. I'm not concerned. I've seen a lot of Azriel lately.
So have I. And all of their arguments are ridiculous, honestly.
Some of it has merit. I don't know. I can see like the forbidden love trope of like going against the mating bond. Isn't that the whole thing? She likes to stir it up, and I'm afraid that people are going to be like, oh, she's so predictable. Elain and Lucien were mates and they ended up together. And so she's going to be like...
But see, here's the thing. Not only is she a mate bond writer, if she wanted to switch it up, but she didn't have to mate them together. Like, there was no reason to.
Yeah.
She said she was pleasantly surprised at it when she wrote it.
Yeah.
And then she spent all of Akawar comparing both of them to Sunshine and Light.
Yeah.
And Fox and Fawn. Puppy dog eyes. And all this nature stuff. You know? Flower and flame.
Yeah.
Fire and Flame, Fox and Fawn, Sunshine and Light. There's way too many. Again, Elain was seen by the sunniest window. Every single fucking scene. Elain was seated by the sunniest window. Elain was seated by the brightest window. Like every scene. Even in that second meeting after the war, in their old house, Elain was sat by the sunniest window. And then Lucien went to stand beside her, actually.
Did he? And then what happens? I don't remember.
They just had the meeting. Eris looked at him longingly, and then they had the meeting.
Eris looks at Lucien longingly?
With regret or some sort of longing.
Guilt.
I love that scene too. But it also makes me angry because then Pharaoh was like, Tamlin rushed out of here so fast I couldn't even thank him in person.
Oh, BS.
That one.
Yeah.
That one.
That's literally so like that literally is like part of the reason why I refuse to reread it because because it was so shitty. Because like
it was so
he
shitty.
goes on. I know we've said this before. Farrah fucking goes on this monologue and she's like, the war is over. My name is Farrah, blah, 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 blah. And then
hi, lady.
She goes,
hi, lady. Hi, lady. No one's
and then like, and then Tamlin has to walk by Lucien, who's in the Illyrian leathers. Like, what a fucking knife to the heart. What a, like, every time I read that scene,
that was painful.
So painful. Like, so people, and you want to
just
what?
Just the fact that Lucien was like, I have to explain that I literally had no clothes here. He was like, I had nothing else to wear.
He didn't tell Tamlin, I don't think, right? Like
No, I think he thought it, right?
Yeah, he thought it, but didn't tell it. So that really breaks my heart because like I honestly maybe I feel like I am Tamlin because like if I saw my
I just said that today. I found my Enneagram 5 book and I was going through it and I go, I'm fucking Tamlin.
I wonder if the people that support Tamlin are like, I'm a fucking Tamlin. Because I would feel the same way. Like I would see
betrayal.
Like, you're dead to me. Yeah.
Betrayal. You know, that's part of what stemmed that brawl. 100%.
Oh, I would have been.
Fucking Lucien having a split lip and a black eye. That's personal.
In my opinion, I'm like, he deserved it. Even though it's Lucien, he's my number one.
I mean, maybe Elain would have noticed him more then, but
Elain doesn't deserve Lucien. That's my man. She doesn't deserve him.
They're gonna be the best High Lord and High Lady of the Day Court.
Awful.
I'm actually kind of worried that they're gonna kill off Elain to do that.
I think I wouldn't be surprised if she kill off Elain because
I think it'll be after because like Lucien fucking loses everybody like Tamlin, so I feel like they're gonna have this whole cute arc of him finding out he's his father, and then the Koshi thing's gonna happen. Yeah. And I think that whole Hybern commander was kind of foreshadowing because again, without Amren, he would have died. Amren is powerless now. So
I don't know. I could see it going both ways. Like, or it's gonna be like him and Lady A get together, and he like turns over the court to Lucien to be like, "I want to spend time with my lady for the rest of my life. Like, you can have it." And
can they do that though?
I don't know. I actually don't think that they can. I think it's like you have to die to give over the power.
I thought of a loophole for this, and it might be a spoiler for book 2 of my fanfic. But I found a loophole.
What's the loophole?
And I plan to use it. So, if another court decides to choose you as a High Lord, you would automatically have to relinquish your first court, wouldn't you? Because you can't have 2.
Who would choose the second court?
The Dusk Court? I was thinking that Helion and Lady A could rule the Dust Court.
I like this idea. You seem very convinced that Bryce is not going to be coming to Prithian, and I don't know if I agree with that.
She's gonna be there, but she's not gonna stay. And honestly,
she's the only one that can rule the Dust Court. She's the only one.
No, she's not. Nesta could.
Nesta's not even affiliated with that, though.
But she is. Nesta is blessed by the mother, which means she has the magic from Thea. We know the mother prefers her. She prevented all her magic from leaving. She warned her about the Kelpie. She had the 8-pointed star, just like Bryce. I think it's going to be Nesta, but that's a huge part of the reason why I think Cassian's going to die. Because Nesta's going to be the first real high lady. And everyone's going to be up in arms. Sarah's going to be pissed. I think that's what SJM was going for until she realized, well, would Nesta be more powerful than Rhys? Because I honestly don't think that, I don't really think that SJM cares as much about Feyre as she does about Rhys. Would you agree with that?
Really? Why do you feel that way?
Because it started out as Feyre's series, and then it was everything Rhys wanted, everything Rhys did. Rhys telling her how Tamlin wanted her as a possession and only wanted her powers, and then Rhys talking about his trauma with Amarantha, and then Rhys telling her about the history of the Illyrians and Hybern and all this other shit, and it literally became the Rhys show. I was over it. As much as Feyre is insufferable as Rhys's mate, Rhys made her that way.
She's insufferable. Interesting. I like your take on it. I will say he really did not put boundaries on her. He like let her loose, basically. He was just like, I'm gonna be your,
whatever.
Yeah. Like,
but again, if he is controlling her, he was the one that said, like, I'm gonna have to help my mate take down Spring from the inside. And then like 2 chapters later, she's like, I have a plan to take down Spring from the inside.
It's like,
it's weird.
For anyone
codependent.
If anyone listens to this, it's like, here, you have to understand. We loved Feyre. Melanie and I loved her. Loved her so much. And then
book one until she almost got Lucien killed because she was a fucking idiot and didn't know how to read numbers.
Stop. But have you seen, I love those memes online that's like Lucien, have you seen them?
My boy.
You know what's so funny?
It's stressed as fuck. I was convinced she was gonna kill Lucien in the first book.
I thought so too. So it's just, what cracks me up is that not only do we always talk about Lucien, okay,
well,
Melanie,
the best. Okay,
you have to cut this. You have to cut this part.
What are you gonna say?
Like that, like Lucien is literally like the punching bag. Lucien and Tamlin are the 2 punching bags.
They are.
The entire series. Not one single good thing happens to either of them, and it starts with them. Like it starts.
And Tarquin. Them. You can add Tarquin in there too.
Poor dude. Still has his court.
Poor dude. His whole cousin and his family got fucking slaughtered by Amarantha. He's under the mountain. Suddenly he's glowing and he's like, fucking shit, I'm the High Lord, I guess. When the fuck did this happen? Oh my god. Hold on, I have to plug in my computer or it's gonna die. Yeah. The stress.
But he still has his court.
Can you imagine the stress? Hold on a sec. I can't.
I love like listening to you explain things. I don't know why it's so funny.
I'm so dramatic. I don't care. And then It doesn't even stop there, because then he's under the mountain. He has his 3 cousins left, right? He has like 3 cousins left. Rhys goes and fucking mind melts one of them. Dead. Guess there's only 3 of us in total left now. Doesn't know what the fuck to do. This poor dude is so fucking nice that he lets them in his court and shows Feyre, rookie mistake, shows Feyre his fucking treasure vault. This dude wanted to get laid after 50 years. Tarquin. Boy. And then Cressida's like, Illyrian wingspan, let's go. I'm getting my fill too.
Hey, Rhys, and Rhys is like, hey, baby. Like, hey, eat that shit up.
What the fuck? And then, like, he gives her a fucking necklace. And then we have Varian just not showing up until he fucking feels like it.
But
and
I
be
loved
like,
it because it was just
I'll
like
take
him
the
and
tiny
Amren.
ancient one.
Yeah.
I'll take that one.
She's like, they're just staring at each other. I love how they describe that. They were both like on a pillar. Remember that? Like with their like backs against the wall staring at each other. I was like, that is some hot sexual tension there.
God. Oh my God. And then just the way that she was like, I know it's wrong, but I'm going to go in his mind and let him think that I'm the safest person and that I would never do anything bad to him.
Tarquin.
And she literally mind fucks this like 20-something-year-old High Lord who has no idea what he's doing yet. All he knows is that he has this secret underwater lair with a part of a book that he's not supposed to let anybody get. That's all he knows. You had one job, Tarquin. You had one job. And immediately you're like, pretty. Okay, whatever you want. Just thinking with his dick. Just poor dude. I'll say this every single episode. I just fucking love how he chewed her ass out in Act of War.
I tell you, it's my fucking favorite thing that you ever say. Every time you say it, I can't get over it. I love that he chewed her out, but of course, do they let it affect them and do they learn from their mistakes and have a conscience? No, I can't say it.
Honestly, I want more Cressida too. She was fucking funny.
Cressida was so funny, and like Tarquin is just like, who the fuck are you coming into my house telling me to take care of my people?
Like, after you killed my cousin.
You killed my cousin, you stole from me.
I've never talked about this. That scene is when I started getting very suspicious of SJM and where she was going to take this series. Because that bothered me so much. Because
what?
Rhys kills his fucking cousin. And you have the narrative that says, like, Tarquin looked at him in understanding. Because Rhys didn't tell Amarantha that they were all planning to, like, get out or whatever. And, like, Tarquin looked at him in gratitude. I was like, are you fucking kidding me?
Yeah.
Are you fucking kidding me? That made me so mad.
I will say,
so mad.
I know. I think I kind of got some alarms. Yeah, like under the mountain at that time
like,
too. It was like,
what?
It was like that,
and then it was Feyre going, well, I think he only touched my waist and my arms. You were fucking drugged. Hello?
Yeah.
What is going on in your head? What's going on? Why are we justifying this because of technicalities?
It's weird. It's really,
that's when it became the Rhys show.
Yeah.
I hate it.
And I hate to do this, but I told you I'm reading Iron Flame right now. And it's really kind of interesting to see the difference between Rebecca Yarros and like SJM, right? Because like to me, SJM was like the golden standard. You come up here, you meet her, or you're like below, right? But I'm reading this because I don't know, I'm so traumatized by SJM. I'm reading Rebecca and like she's traumatizing, very traumatizing. But the way she writes her male character, if he stays true to who he is through the next 3 books, because I don't know if he will or not, it's very he's like kind of like a Rhys, but like the way I feel like Rhys maybe should have been had he.
So that is why I absolutely love Castile from Blood and Ash.
Yeah, I have to read Blood and Ash.
And everyone's like, how can you love Cass and hate Rhys? They're the same person. No, they're not the same person, because Castile did horrible shit. He knew he did horrible shit. He apologized for the horrible shit, and he tried to atone for it.
Yeah. That's what
that is.
Yeah.
He recognized, fuck, I messed up. That was a shitty, horrible thing to do. Probably shouldn't have done that.
Yeah.
And he tries to make up for it.
Yeah.
Rhys is like the complete narcissist that he is, will blame everybody else but himself. I posted a reel the other day.
Yeah.
You saw it, I think. Where it says the difference between a liar and a narcissist. Yeah. That when confronted, a liar will ultimately admit the truth, and a narcissist will like lock down, get aggressive.
Double down on it.
Mm-hmm. That is Rhys compared to other main male characters.
He's like, there's something just a little bit like off. Like
he has a superiority complex. That's what it is. But
it's weird.
So it's a superiority complex paired with a victim complex.
Yeah.
That's what it is.
I could kind of see that, actually.
He wants to always have the high ground, but in order to keep the high ground, he needs people to feel sorry for him.
Yes. And he refuses
by all means.
Yeah.
So he will twist things, he will turn things, he will change things to stay there.
That's a very interesting take. I've never thought of it like that.
That's what he did at the High Lord meeting. They confronted him about the Winter Court children. Well, I had to stand there and watch while the order was given. You don't think that pained me? Yeah. Shut the fuck up. You stood there and watched 12 kids get slaughtered.
Yeah.
Are you kidding me right now? You want them to feel bad for you. You want them who lost the children to feel bad for you because you stood there and watched her give the order.
Yeah, yeah.
And that was oh so hard for you.
So interesting. I never thought of it like that. It's funny. It's funny how she writes her character. She's a very interesting writer. Like when it's all said and done.
Like how she writes Rhys and she thinks that he's perfect, and then she writes Lucien and he's just a side piece. Yeah. And I'm like, Lucien is the whole main character.
Lucien is the main character.
Circling back to Lucien, but yeah.
Of course. Because we both love him. Interesting. She's a fascinating writer. Like, I'm excited to see when it's all done. Like, if she comes out, like, I feel like she's gonna do this. She's gonna come out in her interviews and be like, gotcha, like, you know, because there's gonna be some crazy shit that goes down. We know that.
I would literally lose my mind. Because I don't think she is that insightful into her own writing, unfortunately. Like we saw in her interview, oh, Tamlin, thank God he's over with. But he's not, because you didn't write it that way. Like, what are you talking about?
That's what I honestly, like, I cannot stand that about that. It's like,
fucking weird.
Playing us. She's either playing us or she's, like, truly, like, fuck Tamlin.
I don't get it.
I've never seen that. But like Rebecca, like other writers like Jay, I mean, I'm not familiar with J Law very much, but Rebecca Yarros, they're like pretty straightforward, like more and like I kind of like that a little bit more because I don't feel like
and then SJM is like, oh, he saved all these people in Aquar, I'm gonna give him that little redemption arc. and he's gonna save Rhys, and Feyre's gonna wish him happiness. And then the next fucking book, just rot here, you don't deserve thanks, and I don't care what Feyre said to you, and blah blah blah. Like, what?
Like, unless it's either like that's truly her ex, and no matter what, he's not getting a happy ending. You know, like, fuck him. But, like, it's like, why would you write it that way? Like, it's just weird to me.
Why would you write it that way? Why would you introduce a Springcourt family in Crescent City? Why would you have Lucien go back and try to restore him? Like, I've said this before.
Yeah.
Like, it just makes no sense to me. But anyways, I have so many notes that I haven't gotten to yet.
Okay, let's do it.
So you mentioned again, I was watching episode 13.
Yeah.
So you asked why Rhys kept Lanthus in the prison instead of just killing him.
Yeah.
And I don't know why I didn't immediately catch that in the other thing, but I just didn't. But he couldn't kill Lanthus because they didn't have Gwydion. Duh.
Do you think that's what it was?
Yeah. They can't kill
them.
Because I was telling you, like, he's definitely a Daglin. They can't kill them without a made weapon. They didn't know any made weapons. They didn't know Truth Teller was. And Nesta hadn't made, obviously, till Silver Flames, she hadn't made her swords.
Ataraxia or whatever. So here's my thing. Rhys had Ataraxia in his hand and the other one before he gave it to Nesta. Why didn't he just kind of like, I'm going to the prison?
I don't think he had Ataraxia, did he? No,
he did.
No. They only left the big one on his desk because Amren goes, "Don't touch it. Whatever you do, High Lord, don't touch the sword." Right? They were like,
they left all of them on his desk, and then Amren was like, "Yeah, it was all three," because he like lifted. He's like, "Oh, this one's heavy. Oh, this one's this. Oh, this one had this," and they pulled all three back, and it was all
Amren's
different.
like, "Don't unsheath them," and they're like, "Hurry!"
The boys are like sitting there. I have to say that was like one of my favorite scenes because I could just like see them like sitting at a desk, like fucking around.
Can you just fucking imagine them like on Solstice, like trying to peek at their gifts and like not get caught?
As much as like as I have issues with Rhys, and I do love the Bat Boys. Like I like Cassian and Azriel are like everything to me. Everything. Like,
I like them as a unit, but as I've said before, I don't think Rhys treats them equally, and I don't like that. Like, he's always on Azriel's ass about shit.
He is on ass. He's always on Az's ass. But he was on Cassian's ass in Silver Flames a lot.
Yeah, because the threads had to control Nesta somehow. Had to control her somehow. There are threads to be woven here.
Yeah. but I do love that.
But okay, I had a thought today.
Let's go with your other points.
I had a thought today.
What?
And I was kind of proud of myself. So going back quite a few episodes, if you remember how we were talking about how the Spring and Autumn Court bloodlines mixed at one point.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah, I think we were talking about it, yeah.
And then we were talking about Eris and the Smoke Hounds and how Cassian was like, he's more like his Smoke Hounds than we thought, right?
Right.
So, if the Spring Court bloodlines and the Autumn Court bloodlines mixed at one point through their mother's line, what if Lucien has the Starborn, what if Eris is a bloodhound like Danica and Mordok? And what if that's how he knows Lucien isn't Baron's? Yep.
But how did Cassian know that? See, he's smarter than you give him credit for.
No, well, he just said, well, maybe he's more like his Smokehounds than we think. Like, he was just guessing. Because
no, it was
remember, because Mordok in that scene is sniffing for Ethan and was it Ethan and Rune or Cormac and Rune?
It was, yeah.
Them, whatever. Sniffing.
Yeah.
And Eris sniffs the air and he's like, she could come in, like he could scent people.
Melanie, I'm fucking freaking out because that's such a good clue. It makes so much sense if all he knows about.
And I was convinced that Tamlin's father's line were the, here he is, Dreadwolf. Thank you.
Dreadwolf. It was a Dreadwolf, not Direwolf. Dreadwolf.
So if a Dreadwolf and an Autumn Court person.
So crazy.
Can you imagine if that's Eris's High Lord's beast form?
Is like a wolf.
Like
a
a
Dreadwolf.
just like a giant Dreadwolf.
Wolf. Fucking cool.
Fucking
That'd be cool. But it's just
oh, he's a fucking
I did not catch on to that until he said, and then
sniffing people. Come on.
It makes so much sense. It makes so much sense.
And what the fuck is he telling Kier? You don't know what I had to give to prevent him from coming to your city, and you don't know what I gave up to end our betrothal on no uncertain terms. He fucking works for Kier, I bet, as a bloodhound.
He is. That's what's going on. Because what else would Eris?
Because
Eris
wasn't
nothing.
Fury? Because Fury even said like people would want that person to work for them. They would do all this shit for a blood. Yeah.
Holy shit! Eris is a fucking bloodhound.
Fucking bloodhound. And I would bet you $100 Baron has no idea. Baron has no fucking idea.
It just
but what secrets does he have other than Lucien? What secrets?
Oh, he has every secret. Well, my
Can
thing
you
is,
imagine?
what's going?
Can you imagine if Rune fucking comes and Eris is like looking between him and Tamlin like the fuck is going on right now?
Oh my god. I'm gonna tell you something. If we're right, I'm gonna freak out. I'm still convinced of that. Like, we have to be right. There's like no question about it.
I'm gonna be so mad. I just keep going back to like it's only an 800-page book, like Crescent City. And it's gonna be the fucking Asteri War, and it's gonna be them in the dungeons being fucking tortured for 500 pages. And I'm like,
that sucks because I feel like in our minds we're like blowing it up, and then we're gonna be like so let down.
I'm expecting to be so let down.
Yeah, because like Iron Flame is almost 1,500 pages. I didn't realize it was an 800-page book.
848 pages. Yeah.
Well, my anxiety is through the roof again.
But like, now I have to like what the fuck does he know? Now I feel like there's clues that we didn't pick up with Eris.
But I think we caught all of them. Honestly, like what could he possibly, because everyone's sorted out. Like the only one that's not sorted out.
Even he was also in the room when Thanatos walked in.
That's what I was gonna say. Yeah.
Holy shit. I'm so excited.
It was Thanatos. Like he might know that Rhys is not who he says he is. He might also.
Kier is just fucking weird. What is it with Kier? Is Moore not Kier's kid? That's what I'm wondering.
Here's my thing: is Moore not Kier's kid, or is Kier gonna try to overthrow Rhys and is gonna use Eris being like he's really a prince of hell or whatever? I don't know.
Well, technically, Eris is allied with Rhys, but he also is allied with Kier separately. So what is he gonna do if that's the case? Just that line in Crescent City about like, if a royal's heritage, if a
His
royal's
questions.
parentage comes into it, I was like, oh fuck. Because it could literally be anybody. Literally could be anybody.
It's funny because like I feel like we're gonna see this with Lucien and with Ruin. That's really and like
I want it
honestly,
to be
with
Rune
Azriel,
so bad. I want to be. You have no idea how right I want to be. I want to.
I'm telling you, if we're right, I'm splashing it everywhere. I don't care. I'm gonna put it on my Facebook. I'll be like, we called it first.
I was literally I copied and pasted the Lauren theory and about how Tamlin's Rune's dad on this reel yesterday, and people were like, wow, like that's really cool, and what makes you think that? And I was like, the children's books and the texts and this and that and the next thing, and they're like, well, I think the Starlight Pool is something too. I'm like, it's a portal. It's the south portal where the one on Ramiel is the north portal because they have the north and south rifts, the north and south portals. Come on. Has to be.
Well, absolutely. And like also there's something to be said. Rhys and Tamlin, like I know people were like someone was saying to me the other day, which blows my mind. They were like, they were never friends. And I was like, hold the
They were
phone.
friends.
They were really good friends.
They
like,
were friends.
Very good friends. It always
they were Rune
back,
and Ethan.
Yes.
I mean Rune and Tristan.
Rune and Tristan. So, but I'm just so intrigued that like we never hear Cass and Azriel. We never hear Cass and Azriel say anything about Tamlin. Nothing.
Oh no, they do. They don't like Tamlin. They don't like Tamlin, but Tamlin never says anything about them. He never
says anything.
Never. That's why
never
I'm like,
mentions their names.
He never mentions them. Period. Nothing about Rhys's family. It's nothing about Moore. Nothing about Amren. Nothing. Didn't even look at them during the cauldron scene. Didn't look at them during the meeting. Like, what?
It's sus. It's super sus.
It's super sus. And the thing with, I don't know. What? Like this, like, it still bothers me because I don't know if it's just a detail that, like she said, she had a bad memory that she just, I don't know. But just the fact that his father and brothers and him were, again, able to get into the night court undetected to kill Rhys's family. It boggles my mind. I can't figure it out. It could have been the Starlight Pool to Ramiel. Like I said, the fathers could have known about the portals.
There's
those weird red mountains in Valaris.
Yeah.
Blood
it's weird.
Spelled,
it's like
blood oath spelled.
Yeah.
City.
Oh,
the whole thing about his fucking ancestor is weird, and yet we know nothing about Tamlin's.
I'm like so excited for the big reveal. It's gonna be amazing when she does it, but it's also gonna suck so bad. So I mean, she might not do it.
I'm mad. I don't think she's going to, but it like so much potential.
That's the thing is like she can make this into the most like epic.
literally tying the worlds together.
I know.
Rune being Lauren and Tamlin's.
I know.
Fucking would mind blow people.
Oh, like no one would guess it. No one would guess it,
and the people that hate Tamlin and love Rune.
Oh, I know. Oh,
I want it so bad.
I want that. I want it more than anything. Oh, I'd be like amazed. I'd be like, that's baller.
I will sell my soul to you if you make this happen.
And also, I want the first version of ACOTAR, the one that like Tamlin and Pharaoh or Endgame. I want that too in there. I want to read it.
I'm so mad. It was Akamath and Akawar that Akamath
changed
half of Akawar that she scrapped, and I fucking want the original versions.
I just want to read it. Like I just want to know. I just sell that. It makes so much money.
I want them. Please, Sarah.
Can you just quit your job and get hired by Bloomsbury so that we can become editors there?
Can
And,
I?
like,
I would love to. I would love to. Bloomsbury, can you just put me on the SJM team strictly? I promise I won't leak anything to anyone, just Olivia.
I would pay a lot of money to read that original manuscript.
Oh my god, I would save for years if I could buy the fucking originals. You have no idea. Like,
if I were her, I would sell it. Because it's like, here's the alternative version of what you guys
I feel like she's the type of person where she just like shredded it, and I'm mad. And that just makes me mad.
She is that type of, she's totally that type of person.
Like the first draft of CC3. Oh, I totally tossed it out. Why? Sell the first versions, make more money.
Apparently.
Uncut. Come on. Akamath. Uncut. Akawar. Uncut. Come on. I don't care if there's grammar issues. I don't care if there's retcons. Please give it to me. You need it.
You know what sucks too is I was thinking about like when these authors come back and they like give us another chapter that they had originally cut out, like Rebecca Yarros did that with Iron Flame. I read it and I was like, why the fuck would you cut these chapters? They're so good.
See, that's the problem I have with my book. Like, I physically cannot get rid of anything.
Don't cut any chapters. Why is there a word limit? I want
People are like, I would cut your book in half. It's already too long. And I'm like, I think people like books.
I like long books. Who doesn't like a long book? Like, I don't understand that. The more, the better.
No.
I'm never going to be like, I want a tiny little book. I'm going to be like, I want fucking an encyclopedia on my desk about fairy smut.
I don't know if you can see it. Oh, you can't see it. Oh, yeah, you can. So do you see, where's my finger? That book right there?
Yeah.
That is thick. It's called the Absolute Book. And I forget what it's about, but it sounded interesting and it was very big, so I bought it.
Well, now you have to read it and tell us what it's about.
Yeah, we'll have to do an Absolute Book episode. Yeah. At some point. We can buddy it. I'll send you one.
Great.
It's still on sale for $5.99 on Book Outlet if you want to go snag it. I saw it last night. I was looking through Book Outlet because that's what I do.
I'll look at it. I do want to start reading Blood and Ash soon though.
I can't believe you haven't read that yet.
I know. I'm like so excited to start it.
I flew through it. I tell everybody this. There's so many twists and turns. I couldn't keep them straight.
Good.
I don't remember half of what I read. I don't like I know what happened. But I don't know what happened. She does. Jennifer Armentrout actually pulled an SJM in, I think it's book 2.
Oh.
And
what?
It was not a good scene. Well, it was the equivalent of Feyre and Rhys fucking among their dying.
That's one of my least favorite scenes.
It's Poppy
and
Cass doing it in a carriage, like a horse-drawn carriage, next to like a fucking corpse that they just killed.
Oh, man, that's
I know.
cringy.
Like the war is just ending, or the battle is just ending, and they like killed the person in the carriage, and then they were like, yeah, let's fuck. I'm like, what are you doing, guys? What are you doing? I'll give you a little more leeway because I like you more than Rhys. But come on.
I was like, I'm trying to understand like why someone would write that scene, like, or like why the characters would act that way. And is it because it's like they just survived a war together and they're like, I'm so grateful for you? Okay.
Yeah, pretty much. But then see, that makes me mad because the Phazan people will say, oh yeah, that's kind of cringy. But then they will literally blast Tamlin for kissing her in the dark room under the mountain.
It blows my fucking mind.
Bugs the fuck out of me.
Like Tamlin is the most benign, like even like he bites her on the neck and they're like, red flag.
Oh my god, I was fighting with someone about that earlier.
I'm like, you guys,
They're
it was
like,
a
you
bite on
want
the
to
neck.
talk sexual assault? He fucking bit her. And I was like, you mean when she was like moaning and then writhing against him and he had to say no for the rest of the night because he was too high on his feral magic that he actually could refrain? Not to mention, they say about 500 times how he's not the Tamlin she knows.
I cannot get over that. All of that.
All of it. I can't. What?
And it's like,
I don't understand their minds.
I don't understand it because like I want to be a Phazan supporter so bad. Like I want to be like one of these like followers where they're like, I hate Tamlin. But every time I read, it rubs me the wrong way.
I can't deal with them because it's not that they're so pro Phazan, it's that they're so pro double fucking standard.
Yeah, that's what it is. And it doesn't make sense to me because you can't call Tamlin an abuser and not call Rhys an abuser. Like it's
exactly
like,
exactly. It bothers me.
It bothers me
that,
tremendously.
And then them saying that, oh well, the Supreme Court wouldn't have been destroyed if Tamlin didn't make those choices, and she was only exposing that he was a bad person.
Yes,
like that's not how Daemati magic works. You literally have to twist someone's mind.
Well, that, but like also, I don't know. They always say they're concerned about our judgment. I'm like incredibly concerned about the world that people think like this. Yes. Like, if this is how you feel, like it's okay to dish out like retribution and revenge on people because you perceived someone as wronging you. Your perception, and it's not even the truth. I mean, that should terrify everybody.
So this person's second, because of course they can't just end with one argument. This person's second argument was, well, Feyre was harmed by Tamlin because of his anger issues, and he, yeeted her across a room and all this stuff. And I go, yeah. I was like, first of all, she didn't get yeeted anywhere. Okay.
I love it.
But I was like, I was like, I love when people bring up Tamlin's anger issues because then I can bring up Rhysand's anger issues. You just gave me license to do so. So let's go through it, shall we? Gets me going.
She like,
let's go through it, okay?
I hate you. You're awful.
I know. Let's go through it. I think she probably blocked me after because I haven't. But I was like, okay. Feyre is mad because his childhood predator cursed his court and is trying to kill the love of his life, okay? Feyre comes back and she's like, look at me, pay attention to me. I'm so traumatized. Why the fuck are you leaving me here alone? Why are you going to fight monsters? Like, did Lucien not explain that unity for this court was pertinent during this hard time? He was fighting monsters to keep you safe, bitch.
Yes.
So, yes, he blew up at her because she was being fucking obnoxious. I don't blame him for blowing up at her.
Yeah.
Do I blame him for hurting her? Not really. He didn't purposely hurt her.
It was the intent. The intent was not malicious.
No. And he immediately apologized, immediately ran over to her. It's not like, that's what you get. Like, he was not like that at all. The second time he blew up, she planned to make him blow up in Akawar.
Yeah.
Again, she poked and prodded until he blew up and hurt her, and she was like, yeah, poor me, because she wanted everyone to turn against him. I go, those are the only two scenes where you see his anger, and it's his magic blowing up. I go, let's go over Rhys, shall we? Shall we? Under the mountain, it started immediately with him twisting her bone.
Yeah.
Or twisting the bone that was impaled in her arm because she refused to make the bargain with him. And then once she was in blinding pain, she was like, I guess I have no choice but to make this bargain with you, to possess her for the sole reason of angering Tamlin, getting revenge on Tamlin, possessing his girl for a week, a month, or whatever the fuck it was, right? Number one. And then we have in Akamath him refusing to let her talk about what he did to her under the mountain.
Yeah, that's true.
Turning the room cold and dark and getting all grumpy, and we'll discuss this later, which it was never discussed later because he didn't allow her to bring it up. We got him crying over his own trauma, and they were kissing his tears away. Disgusting. And then I hated that so much. I'm like, so instead of helping her, you're going to play the victim. Okay, sure. I'm not buying it. But anyways, moving on. Okay. Then we have him toting her around like a whore in fucking the Court of Nightmares. He wanted them to see her as his whore. Tyr calls her a whore, and he mutilates his arm. Mutilates it. It was mush. It was a bag of blood. It was mush. He mushified his arm.
Yeah.
With his powers. How dare he talk about you like that? That was your whole fucking thing.
Goal.
That was the goal. What are you talking about? And then we all know how he treated Nesta.
Oh, I know.
With the whole, get her out of this city or I'm gonna fucking kill her. What? What? Your mate's sister, which to Feyre's credit, she has been telling you to back the fuck off.
Yep.
Because it's not for you to deal with.
Yeah, it's like she's not even like your family. It blows my mind.
Annoying. And then we have the bonus chapter where he threatens Azriel's life because God forbid they share a fucking forbidden kiss, which I didn't want that to happen. But am I gonna say he deserves to be tortured for this? No. Don't make me punish you. What? And also, who's gonna torture your torturer?
I was gonna say, that's actually a very valid point.
Azriel's like, yeah, okay, buddy.
Yeah,
like, you're
like to see you try.
Hands.
Yes.
Fucking coward. Do it yourself. But
crazy.
Rhys has way more anger issues than Tamlin.
Yeah, I agree with that. I love everything you just said, like 100%.
Hello.
Hello again.
Hello again. We're back.
We are back. It's another
back.
Late night and we're filming again.
I got the night off, so it's a little bit of a treat that we get to film 2 nights in a row.
It is a treat. That's right.
Because we didn't get to film Saturday. You were busy Saturday. So I swapped shifts with somebody. So they didn't have to twist my arm very hard. I was like, yeah, sure, have the shift. I don't care.
Yeah, absolutely.
You want to work for me? Fine.
Heartbeat.
Go ahead. Weirdo. But anyway.
I wish I had coworkers like that just like wanted to take my shift. I would have to like beg and like incentivize someone to take my shift for me. Yeah. When I used to like work bedside.
We can do swaps whenever we want, which is pretty good.
You're so lucky. Like we could do swaps, but it was like, do you have people willing to swap with you? And it sounds like you have. Well,
there's 5 of us. There's 5 dispatchers, so you know. All right. I have a couple little tiny points. So I said that Eris is a bloodhound, like Mordok and Danica. I
And
made a
I
note here.
said that I absolutely love that theory.
It makes so much sense.
It does make sense. Yeah.
I
It
was
makes a
like,
lot of sense.
I was like, oh shit. Because we were like, well, I was thinking that Tamlin was from Mordok because he has like the claws and everything. But
Mhm.
I mean, it could have just been that like the shifters and the Autumn Court again mixed at some point. And then
Right.
Lady Autumn's line, I don't know. Lady Autumn has a lot of secrets too. The whole Autumn Court has a
She
lot
has
of
so
secrets.
many secrets.
It's
The whole
it's
Autumn Court.
weird. The whole entire Autumn Court. Just we need more. We need to know their secrets.
I know. I like can't tell if there are secrets or if she's just like gonna leave it a vague court. Do you know what I mean? I don't think she would because she brought in Eris, but I'm not quite sure.
I hope that she does something with the Autumn Court.
I do too. Well, you have Lady A and Helion, and then you have Eris, and then you have Lucia. I mean, there's like a lot of like
And
content.
what are the names of the other brothers? Not that it particularly matters,
Which
but
still, it kind of bothers me. Like, I kind of want to know the two other brothers that survived.
I
Because
know.
it's
Three
Eris,
more.
the two
There's three
brothers,
more.
and then Lucian, right?
There's three more brothers and Lucien and Eris.
So wait,
Because there were seven.
okay, that's what I thought. So there's okay.
There's three running
All
around.
right, I'm not going to go off on a tangent because I could talk about that forever. There's three brothers that we don't know their names.
Yeah. Yeah. And I keep wondering, like, I don't know if Eris would be like cruel enough to kill them unless they went after Lucien again, like after he pardons him.
Yeah.
I don't know. Like, I don't know how she's gonna take care of that little problem.
I don't either. And I think it's really weird. Like, it's weird to me that they're so hell bent on like killing him. Like, I understand it, but like, it's been years. Like, can't we just like let it go? And it doesn't seem like that's the case. It seems like, oh, like they want to kill him.
Yeah. So my thing with that is that I don't think they probably don't really know that he's not Baron's, and they just know that he's super powerful.
Yeah.
Because
like
again,
wanting that power.
Lucian's like, is that why they did their best to break and kill me? Like, they kind of know something's up with Lucien,
Yeah.
They wouldn't.
Yeah.
They don't think I'd be foolish enough to kill up the long list of heirs. No, you would not.
That's what I mean. He's the youngest. Well, and what's so funny to me is that like the magic picks. So even if like they wanted that seat, like the magic picks. So I'm not quite sure I understand that.
I wonder if they saw him glow or something when he was little, and like they're like, "Oh fuck."
Yeah.
Like,
or maybe do you know? Maybe everybody knows that he's Helion's, and so they're just like, "You're the bastard of the family. We're gonna kill you." I'm not quite sure. Yeah. I know it's because he's powerful, but maybe there's more to it.
Maybe. But that was just that little thing. I had two other little notes. So going back to Mor and Ianthe real quick. Circling back real quick.
I love that. To Valahan.
Yes. So Mor bought her place in Valahan 300 years ago, and then I put same time Ianthe's family did, ? I don't know where I got that from, but I must have read something.
No, that's really interesting. I didn't even think about that. Like, I have to look it up. Hold on, let's see.
Maybe it was under Ianthe's wiki.
Was it? I feel like.
Oh yeah. Sorta.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yes. Find it?
Yes, okay. It was on the wiki. So it says. So it wasn't particularly that, but it made it seem like that. It says around 300 years ago, She becomes the youngest of the 12 high priestesses, and her father had sensed trouble coming and packed up Ianthe and her 2 younger sisters, fled to Valahan, and then lived there for 50 years while their people were butchered and enslaved. So it's kind of, was it 300 years ago or was it 50 years ago?
Yeah, that doesn't sound like that was very consistent. Okay.
But I find it interesting that she became a high priestess 300 years ago and Mor bought her place in Valahan 300 years ago.
Yeah. It's very
And don't the
interesting,
high priestesses travel around? Or they did.
Here.
They hail from particular courts, but they travel around.
They do travel around.
Mm-hmm. That's what that note was. Because I was like, why does it say 300 years ago, but then it says 50 years ago?
Yeah, no, I'm literally found the quote, page 42.
So it was 50 years ago.
I don't see the 300 years ago anywhere. Like, not in this particular one. I wonder if the wiki might be wrong. Was
300 years ago she became the youngest of the 12 high priestesses? That's what it says.
Oh, okay.
So maybe it was just that.
Yeah.
So anyway, I guess I was wrong. That was that.
Interesting.
I was like, 300 years ago, they bought their places 300 years ago at the same time.
It was the same time.
But it was the same time that she became a high priestess, which is still kind of fishy.
Well, it doesn't negate the fact that they both went to Valahan. So,
yeah.
I mean, your theory still definitely can hold merit because
they were both there at some point.
Right. It's like sketch to me that they were both there at the same point. Like, how big is Valahan truly? Like, for Faye, I'm sure it's not that big. I don't know.
Yeah, I'm thinking it's like a county, like a bunch of little towns, maybe all together. Yeah. I don't know, like
of course,
like Boston, like where I live, like Boston is a bunch of towns.
Yeah.
In like a county, in a city, whatever city. County.
Yeah, and like it would make sense that would be around the time that like Ianthe's trying to get with Rhys or whatever, right? Because like she has that connection through Mor, and maybe Mor brought her, and like that's kind of what happened. I don't know.
I could see it. Oh, see, when did she go visit Rhys?
Yeah.
Was it right after she became a high priestess?
That's what
he did say that he did say that she was taught by her less or her more cunning high priestesses. The more devilish ones she was taught by. So there's that. So I still think that
super sketch.
Because again, she just had no real motivation to fuck with them at all.
Well, it's weird to me that she would be like, I'm going to try to have a baby with Rhys. I mean, maybe it's not because he's technically the most powerful High Lord, but to me, and the fact that like, how did she get in? And like, why would he even entertain that? Like, that's
how did she get out of my court? Like, how are people getting into your court that you can't detect?
Right. Like, how are they getting into your court? How is she getting into your bedroom? And your
literal
bed? Like,
house?
how does she know where that is? Unless there's like a solstice party and like Mor brought her to your townhouse and she like crept into his bed. That's like how I imagine it happening. I don't know.
Yeah, but he was like, get out of my house and get out of
Weird.
Get out of my court. Like, how are they getting in? And if everything is so warded?
Yeah.
It's so weird.
That's what I mean. This is like the second occurrence of like somebody getting into the night court when like they shouldn't be there. Weird.
And I can't tell if that's an SJM just overthought.
Yeah.
Oversight.
Yeah. Very possible.
Like she just needed it for the plot.
But it doesn't make sense. We might be reading too much into it, but still, even if we are, it's like
inconsistency.
Good, inconsistent. There you go.
And then I said that before we brought up how Rhys was noseblind to Tamlin's glamoring power, and going back to how I thought the little patch of darkness was Cormac, I said if Cormac is of Mor's bloodline, and not Azriel's? What if she just couldn't detect his because it's the same bloodline? It's like her same magic. Could be.
Where was the patch of darkness again?
When she was
It could
going to
be.
Valahan.
That's
The
right.
thing that was
That's right.
watching
When
her?
she's writing on her. Yeah.
How she's like,
I
I couldn't see or sense anything. It was just like watching. Like she like shot out her magic and she's like, I couldn't sense anything weird. Why would it register as weird if it's your magic, like your bloodline's magic, right? It would just seem familiar.
right.
It wouldn't
Right.
raise any alarms.
So what makes you feel like it's Cormac though?
Well, it was like shadowy and weird, and I don't know. I feel he's not dead. And I think I told you like the way he entered Rune's house and the way that he has to be some sort of world walker. I think he was staking out Prithian, and I think he's looking. I think that he's connected to Rhys and Moore's line and Azriel's line, like I said, through his mother and his father.
Yeah.
Because I think that Rhys is connected to obviously Moore by his, I don't know, father, and Azriel by his mother. So I think Cormac has links to both of them too. And I feel like, I don't know, I just feel like if that's true, he might have powers from like all of their lines. Like he might be really good at like glamoring or hiding stuff like Rhys, or like I said, he might have some sort of shadow magic, like we know he's basically a shadow singer like Azriel. But Moore also has that dark roiling power, like, you know. And what if he was also a seer like Rhys's mom? And that's why
But he didn't show any seer traits though. Did he?
Did he not? He predicted his own death.
See, do you feel like you predicted, or do you feel like he was like suicidal? Like he's like, I'm gonna make this happen. You know what I mean?
No, I don't think he was suicidal at all. I think he
Really?
definitely missed Sophie, but I don't think he was suicidal. Because Tharian was like, Tharian was like,
that bar
oh
scene
shit,
with him
like,
and Rune.
he was like, oh shit, like he didn't plan to make it out alive. Like he knew he wasn't going to make it out alive. I think he knew that that was going to happen, and he found a way to not die, but I don't know, go through his shadows or go through a gate when they think he's dead. I think he's in Prithian because, as I said before, he's literally their only hope aside from Bryce. What is Bryce gonna do?
Love it.
There's nobody from her world in the ACOTAR world to help her out. Cormac was supposed to marry her, and then they literally made up and they became friends, and he taught her how to winnow. Right? Like he taught her all this shit, and he's like, well, maybe you have this kind of power, or maybe you have this kind of power, and maybe you can train and see if you have this kind of power. And it's like, Cormac, what the fuck do you know? Dude, how much magic do you know about?
I know. I have to say that if Hunt wasn't in the picture, I would actually kind of root for Cormac and Bryce. I liked Cormac.
I loved Cormac.
He's a really good character. And he's not as big of a jerk as like everyone makes him out to be.
He's the heiress of the series, and I will say that forever. He's the heiress of the series.
Yeah.
Where everyone's like, oh, he's a dick, but he really didn't show that he was a dick. Yeah, he was a bit of an asshole the first scene that he was in, but like, you know. Yeah, but see, the thing with the ordeal always gets me, because they had to somehow get to the island where the sword was. I feel like that fucking island was the island off of the night court.
I thought about that. I thought about that too, and I was like, that's an interesting little.
Because didn't they say that Cormac winnowed them there? Because Rune can't winnow.
Okay, let's see.
Rune can't winnow. I think they world walked there, and I told you I think the twins are Azriel's stepbrothers.
I actually agree with that. I think the twins are his stepbrothers too. But the problem is that it's like, how are they connected with the timing? You know what I mean? Like, there's no way.
Well,
there's this
again,
many people who
SJM
can world
doesn't.
walk. There's no way.
Well, SJM doesn't really mention Azriel's family ever. I think that was her way of keeping it vague.
But that's what. See, okay, I guess maybe that's why I was forgetting and not really remembering, because I thought, like, for some reason, I don't feel like we were given much information about Azriel's family. Like, I was under the impression that they weren't around anymore.
Oh, they're
like,
around.
I don't know why I thought they were like. They are? Even the dad still?
Yeah. So basically the dad was married, I guess, to the stepmother, and then he raped Azriel's mom for whatever fucking reason. Power trip or something. She had Azriel.
He raped her?
Yeah. He took Azriel from
What book
her.
was this again? I have to read this again. This was Akamath, right?
I'm pretty sure it was Akamath. He took Azriel from her at some point. I'm assuming like after he was weaned or whatever. And the stepmother fucking hated him, obviously, because he wasn't her kid. So she's like, throw him in the fucking dungeon. And they just threw him in the fucking dungeon for like 11 years. And the stepbrothers were awful to him because their mother hated him. And then they did the whole experiment with fire on his hands. And he was only allowed to see his mother. And then back into the dungeon. And he couldn't fly or anything. Like, he wasn't given permission to fly or anything. And then after they went through, training and the blood right or whatever, and they were grown up, Rhys said that him and Cassian went and tracked down his brothers because of what they did to him. And they broke their legs. they broke their fucking legs. They tortured them.
I love
broke their legs. And
I love it.
And then Rhys is like, and I broke into their minds to see if they knew anything about Azriel's power, but they didn't know anything. So we just left them there. So they're alive.
You know what?
He even said like, oh, eventually they healed. Like, eventually.
So. I think it's super sus too. Like, I understand the stepmom hated him, but like the fact that they like locked him away, like they were almost afraid of him.
Dungeon?
Or were they trying to get his power to manifest? Sorry, I have to eat.
No, I don't know.
Right?
I don't know if you saw my post on the Lucien and Gwynriel site the other day. Did you see it?
I didn't see it.
So I said, imagine this. Little baby Az sees his mom an hour a week. That's what it was.
Yeah.
Little baby Az sees his mom an hour a week, and every time she holds him close and sings to him, when he's forced back into the cold, dark dungeon, every time he's at his most scared, he starts to sing the songs that his mom sings to him. Eventually, he began to sing to the darkness and the shadows as if they were his friends, until one day they were.
I fucking love it. I love that.
Mm-hmm.
I love Azriel. He's a good character.
So
even we don't know much. We don't know a lot.
So is that like a manifestation power?
I don't know. That would be pretty cool if it was. Or like, did his mom know like he was going to be a shadow singer?
I don't think his mom really knew anything, because his mom, I mean, we didn't see her in canon, but I mean, we know she's alive. We know the dad's alive, the stepmother's alive, and the brothers are alive at this point because Rhys didn't say that they killed them.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But they didn't know anything about his powers. But
why haven't we heard about the dad?
I know, a lord of Illyria.
But that's
the son of a lord.
Right?
I also want to point out. Well, I want to point out that Tamlin, Lucien, and Azriel are all the youngest sons of lords or high lords.
So what's up with that?
And they're all super powerful. It's weird. Like, why are the youngest kids being given the most power? Because Azriel's brothers, again, had no idea about his powers. And I want to know.
They didn't.
I want to know, like, what made. We don't know how old the brothers were when they lit him on fire, but what made them decide? Like,
yeah,
let's see how oil and this kid's hands fare. Like, what logic was there? Like, what? That never made sense to me.
There's more to the story. There has to be.
I feel like their
Was
dad
it you?
must have said something.
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe they overheard.
They heard.
Something.
They heard. Yeah.
Because they didn't. I mean, the dad wasn't there. Rhys checked the brothers' minds, and they didn't know anything. That doesn't mean the dad didn't know anything.
Totally. That's what I think. I think they heard something from the dad. Like, oh, he's a shadow singer. I could see it, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
And then they were like, let's try and set this off. Let's try and see what we can do. I don't know.
Like fire, though, which only reminds me of fucking Cormac. He's a shadow singer with fire powers. Yeah. Which also reminds me of Keltane, which I think I brought up before from Todd.
No, I haven't read it. I just read Throne of Glass, and
I only read her wiki.
I've only read like
honestly
2.5 books, but Keltane in Throne of Glass, it was like super sad, like wrongly accused. What did you find out about Keltane? Because I don't know anything about her besides that.
So basically, she was infected by a Valg, and so then she had shadow fire, which is an opposite of sunfire, which I think Lucien has, because he's day court and autumn court. So she had shadow fire. I think that's what they called it, like shadow fire or something. And it was like this really powerful fire magic or whatever. And she like went, as far as I know, she like went into the palace, I guess, with like everyone who had wronged her or whatever, and literally burned them all to death.
I love it.
Like with herself. She like burned the place down with herself in it. I'm pretty sure. Yeah.
So Keltane might not be dead then, right?
Like Cormac?
Right? I hope Cormac's not dead. I think he's dead.
So Keltane, it says hair color raven black, eye color night black, because she was taken over by a Valg.
Yeah.
She was 18 plus. Came from a line of powerful magic users that seemingly disappeared 2 generations ago. When she was a child, okay, so she possessed the fire magic. When she was a child, she possessed fire magic, and she remembers the golden fire until it was suppressed by the king's spell. She was confined in a dungeon. So, this is interesting.
Yeah.
Crown of Midnight. It says, Keltane was still in the dungeon during the events of Crown of Midnight with nothing more but a bucket and a pallet of hay. So this already kind of seems like Azriel, right?
I was just going to say,
she was half mad from opium withdrawals and her long confinement, constantly complaining of flapping wings and headaches.
Flapping wings and headaches?
What? What?
But the headaches, like what?
These might have also resulted from Duke Parrington using his powers on her. Is Duke Parrington Azriel's dad?
Duke Parrington was a piece of shit, so that definitely could be the case.
The guards were known to turn a blind eye when Parrington visited her. What if Kaltain is Azriel's fucking mom?
I was just gonna say that.
Holy
But here's the
shit!
thing.
Holy
Here's the
shit!
thing, though. I thought the Duke of Parrington. I need to go back and read it. I thought he was killed.
I don't.
No, maybe not.
I'll check.
No, he was not.
She began to suspect what Parrington wanted her for, not for her to be his wife, but for something else. Kaltain told Selena that something was coming, and she was to greet it. Being a mom? Then, out of pity, Selena gave her a cloak to keep warm in the cold cell. Not long after, she was taken away by Parrington under the pretense that he would marry her. Kaltain, Queen of Shadows, Kaltain was seen to be enslaved to Duke Parrington, who had bonded her with a Valg demon. So, the people saying that Az is part Valg. Manon Blackbeak noted that she appeared lifeless, displaying no outward emotions or reactions to her surroundings, calling her a shell and a weapon. Manon contemplated attacking Parrington just to see Kaltain's reaction. During her staying in Marath, she was probably sexually abused by at least both Duke Parrington, aka Erewhon, and Vernon Loken. She eventually managed to kill the Valg inside her by lulling it into a false sense of security and pouncing on it, burning it away with her shadow fire. Manon and Elain came across her during their escape, and she extracted the word key from her arm, telling Elain to give it to Selena as thanks for a warm cloak in the cold cell. She subsequently destroyed much of Marath using her shadow fire, not wanting to live with what had been done to her. She burned herself to ashes in the process. I don't believe that. She is fucking Azriel's mom. She has to be. She was also strong-willed, pale skin, narrow waist, enhanced by tight corsets, long raven black hair, and night dark eyes.
And they used to describe her in Throne of Glass as like absolutely beautiful. Like she was like stunning, which would kind of follow with Azriel being like a very handsome.
And I know that everyone assumes that Azriel's mom is Illyrian, but what if she wasn't? Maybe only his dad was Illyrian.
But the Duke of Pennington was not Illyrian to my knowledge. But I've only read 2.5 books. I don't know.
He might not be. Kaltain despises flowers. See, that just sounds like Cassian, but I mean, Azriel also hates the Spring Court, so.
That's true.
She has an opium addiction. She was one of the few in the palace who knew that Lillian was Selena, Adderlin's assassin. Like, this sounds like she could be Azriel's mom.
I would agree with that, actually.
And if she holed up in his house in Rose Hall, and he only visits her during solstice and stuff, like, how fucked up is she?
Well, that's really sad that he only visits her during solstice. What is he doing the rest of the time?
As far as we know.
Yeah. True.
And like she was 18 at the time. They would look the same age pretty much.
Yeah. Super young.
Oh!
We have to retalk. I'm like 5 pages in to Crown of Midnight, so after Iron Flame, I'm gonna like dive into that.
Okay, so the Duke Pennington, aka Duke of Marath, was formerly human, and then he was also infected by Valk. So, what was his Valk power? Did he have wings? It doesn't say.
Interesting.
It doesn't say. Physical description. Said to be a large man, he has obsidian eyes and thinning red hair. He also has a sandy mustache and meaty hands.
Gross.
That's so gross.
I know.
It also says Parrington's status is currently unknown, as Erewhon I guess he's the same person, or maybe that's the Valg that infects him, later appears to Manon as a handsome young man with golden hair. It is possible that Erewhon simply changed his shape, but the body still belongs to Parrington. Shapeshifter! Interesting!
Wait. There were two big things. Is it a host body or is he a shapeshifter? I'm confused.
So the Valg infected him, and the Valg
Okay.
could change shape.
The Valg that infected him can change the
So
shape.
he could change Pennington's shape.
Interesting.
But also, young man with golden hair. That also sounds like Apollyon and Lanthus.
Watch them all be the same person. That would be
Apollyon,
insane.
Lanthus, Erewhon, Azriel's dad. What the fuck? Yeah,
well, it would make sense.
If Erewhon could change his shape, like, okay, so, that's what Erewhon looks like, with shadows swirling around him.
It would track when Az was like, they know what I am in the prison. Like, they know. So he's Valg. Maybe we're wrong. Maybe Rhys isn't Valg, like we thought, or the Prince of Hell. It's Az.
Everyone thinks it's Az, but I don't think he's a Prince of Hell. I think Rhys would be the Prince of Hell, but I do think maybe Azriel has some Valg, Daglin, whatever in him, because he has to be. This has to be Azriel's parents, because like, didn't it say that he was known relatives? Dorian was
now
his,
I'm like, I want to read.
Dorian
what?
was his second cousin.
Dorian was Erewhon's
was their second cousins. Everyone thinks that Rhys's family is from they're fucking cousins.
But like, does Rhys seem like a descendant of Dorian and Manon? No. I mean, I don't think so, because Manon was a witch. Like,
yeah, I don't. Yeah,
but I know I've seen that a lot on the internet, that like people think that Dorian is like somehow distantly related to him.
Yeah,
but Maeve sounds exactly like Rhys, so that's where I'm like thrown off.
Exactly. But also, Azriel can sense things that others can't. What?
Yeah. So like,
So another little possibility, which I just thought of. What if Azriel was so traumatized by being an outcast as a little kid that he actually gave himself Illyrian wings?
How would he do that?
Because if he's part Valg and his father was a shape-shifting Valg, and that's why he wanted to train Feyre, because they were shape-shifted wings, they weren't actual wings.
Interesting. I kind of like where you're like that would be very like interesting little
like, maybe he remembers, maybe he doesn't, because he was so little, but maybe he literally just looked at maybe his stepmother was Illyrian, and therefore his stepbrothers were Illyrian, and he was all like being treated differently or whatever, and he's like, I want to be like everyone else. And like, just like how he manifested his shadows, what if he manifested his wings? And that's why he has the biggest wingspan.
Because
he's like, I want to beat all of them.
Do you first? I love it.
Dude,
I would
if
love
he's
that.
part shape-shifting Val, he could have done that.
So also, it kind of makes me think of like the bone carver. You know what I mean? Because like Rhys and Feyre, when Feyre was looking at him, it was like a boy with no wings who was very handsome. I was like, maybe he was showing baby Azriel. Like maybe they don't know he's part Val
The
or
only
whatever.
thing I have with that is the blue eyes.
Oh, that's right.
That's what throws me off.
But if he can shapeshift, can
But
he
if he can
change his eye
shapeshift.
color? I mean, like, I'm like, what is
I
with that
wish we
little
had
boy?
so much more with Azriel. But there was a scene in Akasif where Nesta and Azriel are sitting at the table. Do you remember this? And they just kind of look at each other. And it's like power to power, like they had this understanding of one another. And I'm like, he's not barking from her cauldron power. Like, I see you, I see you. I liked that scene.
I kind of love that.
It kind of raised some flags. I was like, what is there to understand between one another? They were both different in their own ways, which also is like a mirror to Amryn and Feyre when she's like, something different made. How they were both like, we're both
That's
different,
true.
right?
Yes.
Yeah. Because this actually has a little more merit because the only shapeshifter, like actual shapeshifter, not just High Lord, is Tamlin. Like his base power is shapeshifting, right? And Rigelis said a select few in your world can shapeshift. So who the fuck else if not Azriel?
I love that you caught that. A select few. It's not just Tamlin. Unless he's meaning the High Lords. Because the High Lords can shapeshift. Tamlin does it the easiest because that's his main thing, but they can all do it. They just don't like to do it for some reason.
But the High Lords are more than a few. There's 7 of them. A few is like 3, 4.
I mean, I would say I would say select few because it's like 7 compared to like the millions of Fae. You know, like that's select few.
But he was specifically talking about like actual Fae with like animal forms, not beast forms, because he says animal forms. Remember? Because he was talking about the Tog Fae. And then he said, and then a select few in your world. So Azriel could have an animal form, but also
Azriel could have an animal form. But it also makes me think of like Elain having an animal form. Can Elain shapeshift into a fawn?
Az knows a lot about Elain that he's not saying. I think that's part of their connection, actually. I was going to bring that up.
Yeah.
I think he knows secrets about her that he's not telling, and I don't think she's comfortable telling, and I think that's part of their whole trust thing.
Yeah. Like maybe that's their whole thing. It's so funny because didn't Elain ask questions in, I don't know if it was Aqua or Silver Flames, about shape-shifting? She pointed it to, I can't remember who it was. Do you remember that?
I don't remember that.
Elain said something like, I think it was to Amryn in Aqua about being able to change her form. Now I gotta find it.
Huh. Yeah, find it.
Yeah.
But also then Azriel's super sus of Amryn. Is it because she knows?
Knows what? That they can
about him? Which reminds me of Fury and Danica. I know something dangerous about her. She knows something dangerous about me.
But also it's just like, what would be considered dangerous, like, to get them in trouble? You know what I mean?
Yeah. And we never learned what was so dangerous about Fury, which again, I think she's half Asteri, half Princess of Hell, as we've gone over. But yeah, the Elain.
I'm looking right now.
If
Because
she's a fucking seer,
and a
what
shapeshifter.
has she seen? And it also goes back to who the fuck did she see crying in her dream?
I know.
Was it Azriel's mom? Was it Rhys's sister? They all think I'm dead. Like, everyone thinks she's dead. So maybe it wasn't
Yeah.
Azriel's mom, but everyone from the Throne of Glass world would think Kaltain is dead, right? If they're still alive somewhere. Because a lot of people do think that the Throne of Glass world is still currently going.
Oh, I do. They're not. I don't think they're dead. They can't be. There's no way. I'm telling you, she won't do that.
But if there's all these descendants, they would be old enough to be dead.
Or they
like
would
the
be old
whole
enough to be dead.
Tamlin is an
Or
Ash River. Like that whole thing. And the
he
whole
has to
courts
be.
and shit.
He has to be an Ash.
He does have the
Ash
eyes.
River.
He does have the eyes. I will
Yeah.
admit that. Yeah. Yeah.
Where is this?
She did say something suspicious. I don't remember the line, but she did say
I
something
know.
suspicious.
I know. And I think it was Akawar. Like, I think they were like sitting. It was when she was still kind of like catatonic, like not catatonic, but
Catatonic.
like kind of like depressed.
Comatose.
Comatose.
Change shape.
Let me see.
Hmm. I'm looking up like different keywords.
I know, me too.
Change shape, change form, shapeshifter. Come
Oh, you know what? I should be looking up Elain, not Amryn. Hold on.
Oh,
Because
that's
Elain
gonna
is.
come up with so much. I fucking love their mate bond. I know, I go to Lucien all the time, but her eyes were the brown of a fawn's coat, and he could have sworn something sparked in them as she met his gaze. I fucking love that because it just proves that Gwynriel are mates too, and I fucking love
and the words, like the word
Sparked.
spark.
all of them sparked. Oh,
Did you find it?
no. Although, during the tide that says a goat-legged fawn bearing what looked to be a basket of mushrooms patiently waited to be invited to approach the dais.
Interesting. I'm telling you, we're so close to just like.
Juniper?
They have to be
I didn't know there were fawn fairies. I did not remember that.
I did not remember that either.
Huh. I pulled my hand from his as he motioned to the goat-legged fawn to approach at last. Huh. And also the fact that the book called Elain the Trembling Fawn. Fanged Beast and Trembling
really
Fawn.
Weird.
That was Nesta and Elain.
I thought it was really weird. She was always the trembling fawn. I'm like, what in the world is this? Like, where is this coming from? But if she's a shape-shifting fawn.
But then, like, the bone carver said Nesta is new as a fawn and ancient as the sea.
Hmm.
And then the surreal. Thrice now we have met, thrice now you have hunted for me. This time you sent the trembling fawn to find me. I did not expect to see those doe eyes peering at me from across the world. Across the world. The world!
Where were you? Sorry.
Elain! Where have you been traveling? But also, I say that all the time. Sorry.
No, I love it.
But also,
Love it.
Elain mentions seeing or visiting a older, wiser fae.
Yeah, who the fuck is that? It's Koshi. It's gotta be Koshi.
Koshi / the astronomer.
Yeah. Yeah, which is very concerning to me because she probably has no idea, like, she's being trapped.
Yes.
I cannot find this for the life of me.
I can't find it either.
It's really weird, but like I know for a fact
We're gonna find it like when we're not even filming. We're just gonna be looking through stuff and we're gonna find it.
I know.
I can't even find the older, wiser fae thing. Older. Also, the way that Vasa is described, she reminds me of Rhys and Ember.
Really?
Her unbound hair was a reddish gold, thick dark lashes and brows framing the most stunningly blue eyes I've ever seen, aside from her blue eyes. Her freckled skin a golden brown and gleaming. Young feeling, coltish, fierce and untamed despite her curse. She has blue eyes. That was always weird to me because red hair and blue eyes is very rare, even in our world.
Yeah.
So the blue eyes are either the summer court or the winter court, but I think her blue eyes are described more like the summer court and golden brown skin. That would kind of go with that. But then also the reddish gold hair.
Yeah.
And the freckles reminds me of Bryce.
It sounds like Bryce. It does sound like Bryce a lot, especially, and Bryce has like kind of gold, like tan skin.
Yeah. Is it an Akawar that she said, or in Akasif that says that?
I don't know. I cannot find this.
And then the thing about Narbin again. Narbin was even older than Gwydion.
I give up. I'm gonna have to.
Who was Joey?
Who had Narbin? I don't think Elain had Narbin, right?
Nobody had Narbin. They don't know where it went. Well, Amarantha found it.
And threw
it into the sea.
Okay.
But Amryn says, or Rhys says, Narbin was even older than Gwydion. I'm still convinced that Lucien has it.
I would be thrilled if Lucien had it.
And
if he somehow found it.
Again, for some reason, Lucien is never around during these pinnacle moments. He's not around for Feyre's pregnancy when he could have seen that the kid had wings or scented that the kid had wings, right? He's not around when Bryce comes in and the sword and the knife are glowing. I also just want to point out that Lucien bejeweling all of his weapons is so mean.
I love it. You know, he just like sits there and like carefully puts in these like little jewels on or are they like siphon things that like add power, take away power? I don't know. But I do love Lucien. Like seeing there, he's such a great character.
I just find it funny that like Lucien is all light and everything, and if he has this sword gleams dark. Like it's dark light.
Narbin?
Yeah. Because Narbin
Much
is Narbin is the dark sword and Gwydion is the light sword.
So interesting to me.
Narbin is the sword version of Truth Teller is what I'm getting. They both have black.
So I don't feel like he would
blades.
have it though, because he's not like that. Like someone else has to have that, right? I don't know,
but then why? But then like what would be the point of pointing out his sword all this time? His sword killing Amarantha, his sword killing Branna.
Maybe we're putting too much emphasis on it. I don't know.
SJM put emphasis on it. Ugh.
I know.
How do I not remember this?
What? Oh, sorry, guys.
How do I not remember this?
Huh.
This is when Nesta first meets Gwen.
Okay.
And this is like after they like ran from Bryaxis or whatever. Gwen reached into the pocket of her pale robe and pulled out the blue stone of the priestesses, which, come on, blue stone, blue stone. It fluttered with light like the sun on a shallow sea. Hurry now, she whispered, and they increased their pace, reaching the 5th level. No other priestesses approached, and there was no one to witness Gwen urging, keep going. The stone in her hand glimmered. They made another loop upward, and just as they reached the 4th level, that presence, that sensation of something at their backs eased. And then Nesta swallowed before she could say, what is that? It's an invoking stone, similar to the siphons of the Illyrians. Except that the power of the mother flows through it. We cannot use it for harm, only for healing and protection. It was shielding us. And then Nesta says, no, I mean the darkness. Gwen's eyes matched her stone almost perfectly, right down to the shadows that now veiled her expression. They say the being that dwelled down there is gone, but I believe some piece of it might have lingered, or at the very least altered the darkness itself. Was Azriel kept in the library? Altered the darkness itself. It didn't feel like that. It felt older. Gwen's brows rose. Are you adept in such things? But there was no condescension in the words, only curiosity. Nesta blinked. Do you not know who I am? I know you are the High Lady's sister, that you slew the King of Hybern, that you, like Lady Feyre, were once mortal, human. I was made by the cauldron at the King of Hybern's order. Gwen traced her fingers over the smooth dome of the invoking stone. It rippled with light at the touch. I didn't know such thing was possible. My other sister and I were forced into the cauldron and turned into High Fae. It imparted some of itself to me. Gwen considered the open drop into the darkness beyond it. Like calls to like. Yes. Gwen shook her head, hair swaying. Well, perhaps don't go down to level 6 again. But it's my job to shelve the book. So it was level 6. 6. Make it known to Clotho, and she'll ensure those books are given to the others. It seems cowardly. I don't wish to learn what might come crawling out of that darkness if you, Cauldron Maid, fear it, especially if it's drawn to you. Gwenny! Gwenny! You slew the King of Hybern with the Shadow Singer's knife. I think that she knows that they're mates. Not to get off topic, but I think that she knew. I think that she knew when Azriel saved her that they were mates.
Why do you think that?
Because she specifically remembers him. She remembers the knife that he was holding. She somehow knows that Nesta killed Hybern with his knife. How? How?
Unless like people were just talking about it. I don't know. It's a good question.
How? And then her invoking stone blew like the Illyrian siphons, the shadows veiling her expression.
I do not remember it being blue like the Illyrian siphon. Like the fact they both have blue stones.
Yup.
Come on, people.
A priestess walked by, beheld them lounging there, and scurried off. Her fear left a tang in the air like burned food. Gwen sighed after her. That's Riven. She's still uncomfortable with any manner of contact with strangers. When did she arrive? 80 years ago. Who could Riven be? I'm just curious about everyone at this point. I'm like,
I love it. I love that.
Who's that?
I'm like,
Riven.
Who cares?
Riven my
Riven?
ass. It says, we do not gossip about each other here. Our stories remain our own to tell or keep. Only Riven, Clotho, and the High Lord know what happened to her. She will not speak of it. Rhys! What the fuck? What the fuck? He knows all of their secrets.
Yeah.
But he has no idea about Az, his own brother. He literally says, like, not even we really know, but Az is different.
It's weird. It's super weird. I love Az.
Gwen knows. She knows a lot about him.
I still think Gwen could very well be a light singer. I think Gwen could be kind of evil.
Rippled from her invoking stone when she touched it.
Well, she's always like conveniently in the right place at the right time. Have you noticed that? Like it's a little sketch.
I don't think that she knows though. But
I don't know.
The light rippling from her invoking stone reminds me of the light rippling from Lucien and Autumn Court.
Yeah. Well,
it's just, oh my god. And then just the way that she's like works for Meryl and like knows what Meryl's doing.
Yeah. That's super sketch. She's kind of sketch, like in general. I don't know.
Nesta gritted her teeth. I'm training every morning with Cassian. She had no idea if Gwen knew of him, so she clarified the High Lord's general. ... I know who he is. Everyone knows who he is. It was impossible to read Gwen's face. Why do you train with him? Let's just say that I was presented with several options no, she was not. Designed to curb my behavior. Why do you need to curb your behavior? It's a long story. What manner of training is it? Combat? She's so curious. Oh my god.
Is she curious or is she like evil and nosy? We could look at it two different ways.
She's not evil. Come on. Well, I should be getting back to Meryl. Don't go looking for trouble. Gwen turned on her heel, blue flashing in her hand. The sight of the blue made Nesta blurt, why don't you wear that stone on your head like the others? Gwen pocketed the gem, because I don't deserve to.
Well, I mean, that's pretty sketch. She refuses to wear the stone on her head. Maybe it's not just the sister story. Maybe it's because she's a light singer. And she's not a real priestess.
She's a real priestess. She grew up in Sangrava.
Oh my gosh, I love it. You crack me up.